Okay, so welcome guys. Thank you for joining in on this talk. I invited you here on behalf of the Outlook team to discuss the latest developments with the USFC, to give you guys enough time to relay on to students the work you've been doing, the latest developments with all that's going on right now on campus, on and off campus. I wanted to give you guys enough time to discuss your point of view on a lot of matters that have been dividing the students between themselves and between administrative figures. I'm here to give you guys a chance to speak up. We're gonna kind of divide the interview into two, mainly give the bulk of the time for you to discuss the policies, to give you guys the time to address. When it comes to addressing issues regarding Outlook and the email that I sent in, the president's interview, his words, we're gonna leave that till the end. I would much rather you give the importance of matters of discussion right now first. And I've sent in the questions ahead of time for you guys to look over and not necessarily unify your responses, but kind of time them and order your answers. That said, Muhammad, if you want to take over. Again, thank you guys for joining in. We appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a very hectic and turbulent time for all of us, and hope this can just be a good discussion here.
Thank you, Kadeen. Before we begin, I'd also like to express my gratitude to all of you for attending. These are trying times, no doubt, and we are at a critical junction when it comes to our time in university. Unfortunately, some students will be leaving us next semester due to the fact their education has been terminated due to tuition hikes. And we hope that, bearing this in mind, we will be able to have a fruitful discussion on the matters at hand. So without further ado, I'd like to ask a question on the tuition and decline of the pass-no-pass option. Now, following numerous attempts on your end to appeal for the pass-no-pass for this term, findings were declined by the administration with no clear grading or educational reforms touched upon during the last USFC meeting. How would you describe the precedents this sets to spring 2021? What is your committee working on to ensure just and effective delivery next semester? And could you disclose what hindrances stand in the way of reform implementation? During the last USFC meeting, the tuition rate increase, apologies. I'd like you guys to address the first question raised.
So is it by raising hand or?
You guys are free to.
Okay, so I guess I'll start. I'm just gonna go over a bit kind of what happened with the PNP proposal and where we are now, and then I guess someone else will pick up after me to discuss the second part of the question. So for the pass no pass, basically right after we were elected, we gathered ourselves on the SSCs of 19 of us, and we
Munzir, I apologize for interrupting, but could you please increase the volume of your mic? I can't exactly make out what you're saying.
Is it better
yes,
now?
it is better. Yes, please proceed.
Okay. So basically, as soon as we were elected, we gathered ourselves, all 19 USFCs, before even the first meeting even started, and we started contacting each dean independently. Each USFC from every faculty contacted their own dean in order to discuss the potential implementation of the PNP system. We discussed the matter with our deans, we gave them our points of views, and we even discussed the potential backlashes this might cause. And if I'm not wrong, all the deans but one were supportive of the implementation of PNP. And then we discussed it with the deans, and we promised that we would discuss this again and more in depth to see where we're going to go with it. And then one day we were surprised with an informal notification from one of the deans that the Board of Deans meeting took place, and the PNP was voted. The general vote was against the implementation of PNP. Upon further communication with the deans, some responsive, some non-responsive, and then a meeting with an official SFC meeting with Dr. Nizamuddin and the professors. The reasons why they voted against PNP relate to us. Whenever we tried discussing these issues, we were kind of shut off. So we decided to implement to write the report that we wrote, the 29-page document that we shared with everyone as an official request to reconsider the PNP, which eventually caused another Board of Deans meeting and then another rejection. So basically, our main issue back then was the lack of proper communication with the administration, which caused all of the hassle back then, along with the tension built between the USFC and the administration. I think I'll let someone else pick up after me now if they want.
Anna, I'd like to say that the USFC did a great job, to be honest, and we did everything we can to implement the pass no pass, because that was the main issue and the main goal of our platforms, and we know that students need this pass no pass in this hard semester. So since we were elected, all our efforts were directed on implementing the pass no pass option. However, even though we talked with most of the deans, at first the USFCs, each USFCs, they did a meeting with their corresponding dean. The FAS USFCs, they met with the FAS dean and so on. At first, most of the deans, they were with the implementation of the pass no pass, and they were accommodating and they compromised with us. Then one day we were told that the issue was raised in front of the Board of Deans, and it was unanimously voted against. So this was a bit, it was confusing because most of the deans were with. So we were told also that the registrar gave data in front of the Board of Deans, which put us in a disadvantage because we were not able to contact the Board of Deans directly like the registrar did with their data. So it's obvious when someone gives you data before you vote on something and convince you, you will be forgetting the other data that is given by students. So that's why I think there was unanimous vote against the pass no pass. But I think that the USFC did a great job, and I don't think a committee or any USFCs before did anything like that. Like a 20-page report talking about everything and being really transparent is something really good, I think.
And to add on what Nader said, after the second Board of Deans meeting, the Board of Deans promised to form a task force in order to find, this is basically to answer the second part of the question, a task force to kind of target all of the issues that were raised in the document and other issues maybe that we did not go over as deeply. Basically, this task force was not formed for the fall term, but rather for the spring term and the terms to come. And the email was sent very recently, naming the members of the task force. There is one USFC member in the task force. I'm not sure if you're allowed to disclose the name yet or not, but there are multiple administrative parties in it, and only one student. So this is kind of everything we have on the administration's a plan on fixing all of the issues that were in this semester so they won't occur in the next semester. I don't think there is anything else in mind for now.
I have a question. So would you say probation removal would be one of the kind of focal points, as well as alternatives to PNP right now? Like, does your committee plan on passing on some suggestions from your end on this kind of new grading scheme?
Sorry, Eddie, go ahead.
Okay, so basically for the probation, one of the issues that the administration taught us, they want to keep honors list and probation this semester, and they used it as an argument to not implement PNP. What we're going to try to do, since you know the rules of the probation, as a student is on probation, he automatically loses any financial aid he has. So we're trying to keep honors list and probation. However, we will put like a condition that this semester is that someone is on probation who will not lose his financial aid. So probation, this is still working on. It's not something official or proposed, but we're trying to make it, even if you are on probation, you will not lose your financial aid, because this is what the students are feeling of.
Plus, I want to add something. Dean Nizamuddin, he suggested doing an ad hoc committee to give accommodations. So we did an ad hoc committee formed of 5 or 6 USFCs, I think. We tried to make this committee as homogeneous as possible by including one USFC or 2 USFCs from each faculty. So we did a lot of accommodations, and we wrote a lot of accommodations, تقريباً 30 accommodations, but we didn't have the time to implement them for the fall semester. And these 30 accommodations will hopefully be worked on for the spring semester, and we will try to implement as much as possible. And included in these accommodations are removing probation, included in these accommodations maybe removing sequential exams, removing responders, and anything that can help the student in their mental health at first and in their academics, so that they won't feel that they are.
Can I add something, or I think قطع عنده?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly add this in this conversation, بالذات in this question, is that so far we've had 4, if I'm not mistaken, guys, correct me, 4 official meetings with as a whole body, as the USFC, with the president, with the dean. And so I think that's a very important number to consider, is that these 4 meetings that we had, also 70, if not 80% of our time was on PNP. And the last 20% of our time was taken by the administration to talk about the tuition. 3 meetings even, wow. So we've had 3 meetings, and so a lot of our efforts have been also very much focused on PNP, لأنه there was a very high demand, and because it was the fastest, most efficient, in our opinion, kind of blanket solution لكل الطلاب, instead of focusing a case by case or accommodation kind of system. So that's why I'd like to point out قبل ما نكمل الميتينج or the interview, that all our work right now are all either prepared proposals, discussed options and opinions, and we're hoping to resume our meetings right after Christmas. We've been pushing for a meeting very soon. And so I'd like to point out that the time that we've had, not only was it short, the meetings we've had within that time were very minimum. And so the space we've had with the administration was very little to even discuss other accommodations or spend time. And the first 2 meetings were even spent on voting for elections. So I just wanted to point out that we're really hoping for so much more meetings in the future, especially like in the next 3 days, inshallah. And the fact that our time was very minimum with the administration.
I don't want to interlude here too much, but Kamin, I think this is a good number, and I want to kind of bring this to the attention of students that 2 years ago when I was covering USFCs, I know we had, of course, less issues going on 2 years ago compared to today, but you guys seem to be showing a lot more effort than a USFC has done in the past 1-2 years. I remember I was covering USFC elections 2 years ago, and there was an issue that the USFC had only met once, and I think that was the first kind of formality meeting that they did before. By the time I interviewed the then VP Ali Zayour, it was our spring semester. So the condemnable work. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Okay, I believe Christine would like to interlude and give her input on the matter. Christine?
I'm sorry, I wanted to say something, but someone else said what I wanted to say. But I also wanted to add one thing regarding the meetings with the dean. I think Nader said that most of them were with implementing the pass-fail option. I only met with the dean of OSP, and he said he didn't specifically say if whether he's with or against implementing the pass-fail option. So I don't know if other deans said explicitly said whether there was or against.
But to add on what Christine is saying, basically the general vibe we received from the deans in general was something along the lines of Yes, we hear you, we fully understand, and for now we're with you. We need to follow up with the registrar's office and the provost office to see why they voted against, and then we will discuss this again. At least in FAA, we were promised another discussion that we did not get. And I think the general vibe was the same. And so I kind of agreement with us, and then a promise to look further into it. But then we did, as students, after the administration looked into it, the deans looked into it, all this looking into that they did and all the decisions that they made, we were not, we were not like known of any of those.
So this is I would say blindside as well.
I would like to add to that point that مثل ما قال نادر من قبل كان في meetings كل faculty مع الدينز تبعولها. However, يعني as FAS USFC we had some هيك انه they were the FAS faculty specifically كانوا كتير against PNP أكثر من other faculties, and someone بال FAS told us literally that لاقوا شيء ثاني تعملوه بدل PNP رح يخلص السيمستر. So that's what I caught from them.
Yeah, they were
FAS,
trying to find. Sorry.
Yeah, the FAS faculty was really against. I'm a FAS too. The dean, along with the associate deans, they were really against the pass no pass option. We talked with them. They said they might consider, but it was obvious that they were against, and they think that it's not suitable to implement the pass no pass.
If I might add, in the last email sent by the Board of Deans, they decided to instead implement some accommodations other than the PNP in order to help the students and ease it for the students. And I think we can leave it up to Outlook to see if these accommodations were truly met by the faculty and if they did truly help the students.
Okay. Definitely
thank you very much for all of your answers. We'll be moving on to the next question under this topic. So during the last USFC meeting, the tuition rate increase was announced with more than a 150% increase. Students have since hit the streets to confront this decision. What is your committee's set action plan to battle the repercussions of tuition increase?
Would anyone like to speak? أو بحكي بعدها.
Can I start this question off?
تفضل.
Okay, so we've been talking about a lot of solutions, but our main problem here is for us to kind of study the feasibility of these solutions. We're lacking some much needed information in regards to financial transparency. Part one was the presentation that was given by the president and by Mr. Zahar Dawi, if I'm not mistaken. We have some questions on that presentation, which should be on the agenda of next meeting, and it's such a shame we could not schedule a meeting since the last one that happened was like, I think more than 2 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. So that's the first point. But I would just like to mention this point that it's not feasible for us to sit down and to think about solutions that we can push forwards with no information in our hands. We really have no financial transparency. We really have no idea about what the expenses of the university are and what their fees are. And to go one step further, we have a lot of questions regarding the presentation. These questions are clarification questions more than they are anything else. We do not want to let's say, we don't want to formulate our thoughts and opinions without having the administration or having us ask all the necessary things for this financial info to be clear for the whole student body. I'm just going to mention one example of one question so that you guys know what our questions are going to look like. Yani, let's say in the staff or faculty cuts, It says 1,503 people were cut with $43.7 million in saving. So we know that most of AUB pays their staff in liras. So since they are paid in liras, did they calculate this 43 million على 1005 ولا على 3900? Because all of their numbers in the presentation are in dollars, while we know some of the fees, if not most, in AUB are in liras. So we would just like to ask these questions and how they got to these numbers, whether they calculated them at the 1,500 rate or at the 3,900 rate, as well as any other questions that we have. So this is what we have until now, where we have started to draft a sort of a plan that talks about more than one thing that we and that the whole student body can do. But then again, we cannot see if these plans are feasible without any numbers or without any financial transparency. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Sorry, مين كان بده يحكي؟
Rami had his input he wanted to give. Rami?
Okay, I have a question, but for Karim Saadi. According to the bylaws of the USFC, it stated that you can hold a meeting with only 6 members signing a petition to hold a meeting. You're saying that it's a shame that you haven't held a meeting yet. I guess you belong to a club who has the majority in the student council and can easily call for the meeting without the approval of the presiding officer of the USFC, which is the dean of the student affairs or the president. What's your
if I might answer this question, basically you have the right to ask for the meeting, but the dean of student affairs has to appoint the meeting himself. And the last time we contacted them, they said that we'll have a meeting after New Year's.
Okay, thank you for that.
I can add to what Munzer said. Okay, although I really understand and I respect the administration's right for a quote unquote break over Christmas to spend with their families, but now is a very critical time, and I don't think it was a good step from the administration to send us an email with plenty of time to do a meeting saying, hey, we will have our meeting after Christmas. I mean, the whole decision is going to be put in place in January 1. And it is very logical for us to have a meeting before January 1. We've been sending emails nonstop to the whole administration, whether it's the Dean of Student Affairs or others, to call for meetings. And then the replies that we get are, enjoy the holidays, we will meet after Christmas.
I'd like to add something, which is a reality, to be honest, a sad reality, is that there's a lot of tension between the USFC and the administration. It's because everything what's been happening, there are some people that, of course, the USFC is not responsible for. They're cyberbullying and attacking the administration on social media. And the thing is that the administration is holding us accountable for what is happening, even though I'm fully sure that we're not responsible for this as USFCs. And I think the USFC is a committee that shouldn't be part of anything that is external. So everything that UB is responsible is the things we do. So I think the administration have this idea in mind that the USFC, I don't know, the cyberbullying and personal attacks on Twitter and Instagram and social media accounts. So that's why I think of tension is refrainment of doing meetings with the USFC because of this tension.
Anna, I wanted to add something to what Karim said. Yeah, you said that it would be better if they hold a meeting before January 1. But with Christmas and New Year's and the holidays, with their families, and we just finished our finals, and we want to take, they want to take a break, and we want to take a break. And like مثل ما they said, they're not going to implement the pass no pass option. Since the beginning, it was kind of clear. If we put our efforts to reverse the dollarization or to ask them to to put it again on 15 on the rate of 15.15, they won't accept. So it's better if we hold it after New Year's, so we get a better plan and they will list to other accommodations. Like today, an email was sent from the Office of Financial Aid, and they were really understanding of the financial issue of everyone. They granted like a good percentage to those who applied.
Can I just comment
okay,
on
yes.
Karim's input concerning that? He said that AUB's presentation lacked transparency. It was very detailed and it was presented to the students during a town hall. They also promised us with an increase in financial aid, and we started receiving the emails today. So yes.
Okay, but just to clear things up, I did not say AB's presentation was not transparent, because had we asked the questions and the administration not answered, then I could have claimed that the administration is not transparent, but we still did not have the chance to set a meeting that I do not think should be pushed until Christmas, because the topic at hand is not an easy topic. This is this is a very big existential problem for AUB, and this might mean half of AUB students dropping out. I really don't think that all of us cannot sacrifice 1 or 2 hours during this winter break out of the 20 days that we have and we've had until now to discuss a topic that is of this importance. All that we're asking for is a meeting with the administration for them to answer our questions, which is somewhat logical, for us to sit down سوا and for us to think about what feasible solutions are there. مثل ما قلت, we have a lot of solutions thought of, but I don't want to mention any of them because we don't know how feasible they are. يعني, I could sit here and say, hey, a feasible solution would be, let's say, keep it at 15.15. But is this feasible? Is this not feasible? We don't know this, and we will not be able to know this unless we have the numbers and we do our own math. I don't think the numbers are too complicated in terms of what we need, and we're not like asking for a very detailed script of what AUB's expenses are. But I think a good first step would be a very slight financial transparency. And yes, the administration were transparent in their questions. Even in our meeting, once they presented these numbers for us, they were very transparent and they answered most of our questions. If you guys remember, we were talking about financial aid and that. So I didn't say their presentation was not transparent.
I just want to
adding to what Karim said, and I think Talal also said that the presentation was detailed. In my opinion, it isn't, because we analyzed the graphs and the data given, and some simple numbers from a slide to another, like the total number of students or the number of money that will be generated from funds that will later on used to increase the financial aid amount that will be given for spring, simply they don't add up. So that's why we generated these questions that are going to be sent to the administration. وبس يجاوبونا بصير فينا نعرف إنه what is the source of these numbers و how much قد إيه فينا نتكل عليهم. But there is a lot of numbers إنه في interrogation marks عليهم و we're talking about a huge institution AUB يعني 15 slides aren't enough.
So you're mentioning the slides that were present during the town hall and during the USFC meeting. So basically, you're on this. So my question is, do you think that the numbers that are presented are not accurate numbers, and then you require one more step into understanding if these are actual numbers that we can trust?
I think this is a big statement to make. يعني, we could sit with them and ask them. We don't want to say that they are not accurate. مثل ما بقول, I think,
and maybe they rounded them, but we don't know what the scale they used, what are the numbers they used to based on that numbers to let them in that specific graph. And some of our calculations فرجونا ب 20 last year استعملوا rate للدولار كان 7500 for the next year استعملوا 7800 so that's something بدنا نسألهم did you take into consideration the inflation okay the rate of dollar is going to increase ولا شو هيك قصص يعني we are not saying that the numbers given are not trustable but we want to know what's the scale they used so we will have a better understanding of
Basically,
what the
we just want more details, basically.
I'd like to add something. In the USFC, I think there are 3 groups of ideologies or way of thinking. There's the group that is against the administration, whatever the administration does, and there's the group that is with the administration. And since I was elected, and a lot of USFCs, I think we are 4 or 5 USFCs that are like intermediate. However, I'm the only one that is talking about the matter of being intermediate, so that's why I was facing a lot of criticism. But I think this is the solution, because I disagree with what Talal is saying, that there was full financial transparency, and I also disagree with those that are saying that these are wrong numbers, or these numbers are they are not credible, they are numbers بالهوا. So I think that, okay, the presentation was a bit transparent. However, it was not transparent enough for us to come up with a solution for a tuition solutions that fits everyone. So that's what I think. I think we can't be with the administration. Of course, the administration is doing a lot of things that are wrong, but we can't be always opposing the administration and getting in face administration.
Sorry,
Okay.
Nader, you broke up a bit.
We was a proposal that passed from once we were elected till now. There was no proposal that was given in front of the USFC. That's what I want to say. I don't want to name the USFCs that are with us, that are with me in being intermediates, but I think there are a lot of USFCs that want to be intermediates, and that's what we should do. And we want more financial transparency from the AUB administration, and we want to discuss and we want to negotiate.
But my question here isn't it less
Nader,
about
there was.
Sorry.
Sorry.
1 minute.
Sorry,
Oh,
Nader, there was a USFC proposal that passed.
There was Kamal's proposal that passed. This is a really great proposal that you are proud of, but it was passed not through an official meeting. That's what I was saying. There was no proposal that passed through an official USFC meeting.
Yes, true.
And thank you, Kamal, for your proposal.
I'll go more into that when we start talking about that divide in your questions. Sorry to interrupt. Go on, Kelly.
So I think what you need to clarify here, Nader, is I don't think it's about being with against administration as an entity. It's being with and against a lot of actions that have been taken by the administration this year, which start from the way they're communicating during meetings, their decisions, the PNP, the dollarization. I think it's less about them as an entity as us versus them. It's about your unanimous kind of stance on the work that they've been doing on their approach here. Would you say that's more correct?
Of course, yeah. When I say that we are intermediates, it's we judging their decisions, not we judging them on a personal level. So when the administration does something wrong, which is the case right now because of the no pass, I don't think they considered enough. And for the tuition, we didn't hold a meeting until now about discussing it, and I think this is wrong. That's how we criticize the university, and we protest, and we should all protest in a peaceful manner. So that's why we protest, but we shouldn't attack them personally, I think, in my opinion, because we want to discuss with them. We want to discuss things with them. We peacefully protest and we discuss with them. We put street pressure against them, and then we discuss. That's what I'm saying. We don't attack them as an entity, but we attack their opinions. We attack their proposals that don't include the students in the discussion and the negotiation. I'm not saying we attack them as an entity, because to be honest, some are attacking them as an entity, which is not something that is good. We have to attack their proposals, their ideas. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
I don't think
if
we
I
should
can I
be attacking at all, but
if I may, can I say something?
yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
Mumtaz.
basically, to kind of summarize what we've been trying to communicate, our first step is trying to get enough information in order so we can know what our stance on the decision. And when I say decision, I mean the pegging rate at 3,900. So basically, we need to know more information from the administration on why they took this decision, not general numbers, like accurate numbers, accurate detailed numbers. So first of all, we are either convinced with the decision or partially convinced, so we can be able to look more directly into solutions. And this is where each USFC alone and us as a committee can search for accommodations, can search for alternative solutions. But the issue we've been facing in the past few weeks is that there has been a lack of communication or a lack of proper communication with the administration. There has been an email sent by Dr. Khouli of good intention, and then another email sent by us back also of good intention, so we can sit down and discuss this in a more detailed and civil manner. But we've been pushed, not pushed basically, but the meeting has been, Dr. Khouli told us that we will meet after Christmas break and the winter vacation. So I think basically everything we're looking for now is just more information so we can know more accurately what to do and be able to take our own decisions more accurately, because we can't say that أنا مع أو أنا ضد without actually knowing only like half of the story or one side of the story.
But on a side note, many members of the USFC stated that the numbers are accurate or not accurate, and then one member concluded that the math in the numbers doesn't even add up. If the numbers are not accurate, then how did you even conclude that the math doesn't add up?
Okay.
Can you just have please? I need to continue my question. I need to continue my question, please. Can we just have one unified answer on one single subject? And the treasurer is speaking something, another member is speaking something, and we don't have a definite answer.
Okay. Would everyone allow the treasurer to talk about this, please?
Can I say something first?
Okay. So, very briefly, very shortly, we do not want to finalize our stance on what the administration did. For now, we are against an unexplained and unjustifiable pegging of the tuition to 3,900. What happened in their presentation, some numbers do not add up. Some numbers are contradicting each other. And we have some questions for the administration. It's just like anyone presenting us with a plan, and we have some questions about that plan. We did not say their presentation is not transparent. We did not say the administration did not reply to our questions because we did not have the time to ask them simply. I think what needs to be done now is to set a meeting with the administration very soon to ask them the questions so that we can sit back, whether it is in the finance committee or in the whole USFC, sit down between each other, think with this information in our hands about what are our feasible solutions. And this I say again, we have thought about most possible solutions, but we cannot propose any of them because we do not know if they are feasible or not. So that's
but
the
you already said.
And
okay,
I
you
really
said
earlier.
Did you finish, sorry? You said earlier in the conversation that it's not feasible, or you think so, that it's not feasible to keep the tuition at 1515, and now you refute yourself and say again that it's not justifiable to have that tuition at 3,900. And there's a contradiction in your talk. And you said, please let me finish. And you said that earlier you said that the presentation wasn't transparent, and now you're saying that no, I didn't say that the presentation is not transparent. There's a clear contradiction here.
I did not say the presentation was not transparent. I said when we met with the administration, they did answer all of our questions. That's one. Point two, في حل وسط. الدنيا مالنا بس 1500 و 3000 يعني و 3000 or whatever. It's not black or white. Okay, AUP's expenses are spread on so many different levels, and they have so many different ways that they can adjust this, not necessarily على ظهر التلاميذ. so yeah منهم يعني it's not white or black. عرفت شو قصدي؟ في كتير حلول وسط.
Rami, I would like to point out one thing. The USFC is a committee made out of 19 students and 6 professors. You will almost never have a unified statement. That's why there's a majority voting system. Any decision is made through a majority vote. What happened in this conversation, some USFCs gave their personal opinions on the matter. I think Karim kind of, at some points he gave his personal opinion, but at other points he gave the general consensus agreed upon. When you say that F515 is not sustainable, this is, I think, a general consensus we can all agree to, that with the current economic state of the country, it's not sustainable. 3900 is not sustainable for students. This is something, again, generally agreed upon. We're talking about being able to set مش to say إذا هي هيدي مش بتوفي معنا أو بتوفي معنا. نحن بدنا نقعد بدنا to set a plan that goes more than saying this is sustainable or this is good. We need a plan that says in clear numbers, in clear ways, how many students can be helped, how many students cannot be helped, who's most vulnerable, who's going to be helped, who's not going to be helped, what are the sacrifices that are going to be taken. The administration has said very clearly that the most important thing they're focusing on right now is making AUB sustainable. نحن كstudents هنقول yes, we need to keep AUB sustainable and we need to keep the students sustainable too. And we're trying to find the solution in the most optimal way لهيدا. وهيدا البوينت انا بس بدنا more details، بدنا نقعد ونقدر نحكي مع الادمنستريشن اكثر so we can get more information على الموضوع to be able to make this, you want to call it unified decision, I would like to call it voted on decision by a majority.
Okay, thank you for your input.
Guys, just to clarify one more thing.
Rami, I want to add something, Jad, one second. I want to add something انه جاد خلص احكي انت عنه لانه I talked a lot. To say your opinion, then I'll say mine.
Okay, best to clarify one thing, like the idea of calling for transparency mainly هي كانت based على شغله انه نحن نعرف what led to this decision. يعني like بعتقد هيدا اللي كان قصده اياه كريم، يعني قصه انه النمبرز او البرزنتيشن انه ما كان transparent. like we're not here to judge هيدا الشيء، بس نحن اللي عم نحاول نوصل له انه why did the decision why did what led the administration to take such a decision. شو هن reasons؟ هل هي بس الايكونوميك كرايسيس او كان في investments تانيين فشلوا، او انه how will these revenues be financing هدول انه كيف حتكون في allocated؟ هل هي كلها للفاينانشال اوفيس او في قصص ثانيه بده يروحوا like to ليسدوا عجز الاي بي ام سي؟ هدول هن الترانسبيرنسي اللي نحن looking for. so بعتقد اذا قعدنا وعرفنا شو السبب behind ال 3900 يمكن نقتنع، يمكن نقدر نقنع على student body، بس for now ما صار هيك شيء، طلبنا فيه وما صار. So بعتقد like هيدا هو الشيء بس اللي كان المفروض يتوضح. Sorry نادر إذا بدك ترجع تقول شيء.
لا أنا I want to say something. You know, we're 19 USFCs. We don't have a unified opinion, to be honest. But we have one unified opinion about not having the tuition on 3,900 liras per dollars. So this is the only thing أكيد إنه we have a consensus on, of course. But everyone has his own tuition plan. But I think إنه أكيد ما حدا بده الدولار على 3900. I don't know if someone opposes that, but I'm fully sure that everyone opposes the decision for now. But we have to discuss and communicate with the administration. We can't oppose it always and start attacking them. We don't want to attack them. We want to discuss with them. We want to come up with solutions.
هلا about what you said أكيد ما حدا بده الدولار على 3900 بس we don't agree إنه we should change it. مثلا أنا personally I think إنه كذا حدا تاني بس I wouldn't know. I think إنه we should act based on this decision, not act to change it. لأنه everyone knows إنه they're not gonna change their mind ورح يضل الدولار على 3900. I think it would be better to put our efforts على things that are more feasible and things that we can implement. And about what Jad said about the transparency, I think that our judgment wouldn't be better than the judgment of the CFO of AUB or whoever is responsible for that. The more transparency, I wouldn't know about finances وهيك more transparency maybe يخلينا نعمل more feasible accommodations بس for the reason behind ليه حطوا الدولار على 3900 I don't think إنه our judgment would be better فأكيد it's our job هون إنه to accommodate the students and offer them sustainable solution كرمال ما يضطروا يفلوا من الجامعة بس كمان إنه we have to think about things وما نقدر نعمل شيء مثل ما صار ب pass no pass لأنه we focused on changing their mind on one thing rather than on other accommodations وما قدرنا نعمل شيء بهيك.
لحظة بس I
بس
just want to add something.
بس
Wait, I'm sorry. We did send accommodations for the administration pursuant to the pass no pass. We formed an ad hoc committee and we met with a faculty member, Dr. Dima Majid, and we discussed in detail what other accommodations can be done. And we sent these accommodations, we shared them with the faculty member and we shared them with the administration as well. So we did put effort into trying to find other accommodations for the pass no pass.
the decision unfortunately
sorry
was
بس في حدا سأل كمان
Can I talk? I've been trying.
يلا كمل.
تفضل
sorry
اوكي كريستين ما خلصتي بدك تكملي؟
لا I'm done.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to go back to what Nader said about the lack of unanimity. Is that a word? Like there's no unanimous vote on anything. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay, there is no, like we have, it's so bad that we don't have something like that so unanimous within the USFC. But I do know that the intentions of each and every person here is to 100% help the students. What we differentiate is our approach and how we deal with things. And sometimes it just gets, it gets really frustrating because we're literally on the group every day on our WhatsApp group. Every single hour, there's at least 10 messages. The phone doesn't stop. And at the same time, we don't always reach a common ground, a unanimous ground. That's where things become weaker for us. And that's where we can't have a big unified front sometimes.
Because
بدي زيد
I
شغله
have a
عن
question,
financial
but
transparency انه كان عم ينحكى انه في انفستمنتس لاي بي وطلع حكي ورومرز انه عم يعملوا انفستمنت بكاريبيان ايلاندز ومدري شو مثل ما قالت كريستين السي اف او نحن مش حنعرف قده ونحن بالنهايه منا اوديتورز لنفوت بديتيلز يعني النقطه نعرف وينها من هي اي بي ما حتجي تسرقنا عم تاخذ مصاري 9300 الوضع صعب علينا وعليها كجامعه بس اعطونا هلا بلشنا بالفاينانشال ايد اللي فينا نعمله نشتغل على كذا بروبوزل لوجيكال بس انه كمان نحن عم نجي نطلع ستيتمنت بدنا البارت تايم ممبرز الفاكولتي ممبرز يقبضوا اوكي طيب انت كيف بدك تقبضهم الجامعه بدها تقبضهم بدها تزيد الدولار على 3900 وهي خلق مخنوقه على 1005 ما فيك ما تقول لهم على 3900 ونروح نقول للبارت تايمرز انتم بدنا نحن واقفين سوليداريتي معكم بس ما بدنا نغليه على 3900
طيب Jad, apologize for interjecting, but we will be discussing part-timers soon during this meeting. Thank you all for giving your input. I believe it's time we move on to.
Bess. I just want.
Absolutely.
I have one question here. So, would you all agree that for you to sit down, bring these opinions together, which you are saying right now, this is normal. You have 19 members. You obviously have to sit down and you have to know the facts. Would you say right now what's standing in the way of you clearly agreeing on a set action plan is riding on the administration, giving you time to sit down for a USFC meeting? Would you say right now this is the one thing you need to move forward and it's currently you're at a roadblock? Would you say that?
That's a great question.
To add to that, do you guys believe that the conflict of methodology amongst you guys, it's evident that you guys share the same perspectives and I commend you for that, but there's a conflict in methodology, a side conflict. Would you say that's an object you guys will be able to surmount?
إذا
I'd like-
في
I'd
like to answer. I'd like to answer, Kamal. Can you?
Yes.
I'd like to answer, and this is something that I think most of the committee here won't agree with me, but I think it's the reality, and I think most of the committee, the other half of the committee agrees, is that we have two methodologies or two opinions or two ways to confront this. Part of the USFCs want to attack the administration, part of the USFCs want to discuss with the administration, and I think these are the two methodologies. It's a bold thing to say, but it is what it is, to be honest, and I think I will get criticized, but I'm fully convinced this is the case.
لا you won't
agree
get
with Nader.
criticized. هيدا رأيك نادر. You won't get criticized.
Yeah,
No one should
I
criticize
agree.
anything, but the thing is, and no one wants to actually attack the administration. Some people
Exactly.
إيه بس لا لما
I don't think
This is what's happening.
لما حدا لما بالمظاهرة ينقال I quote في واحد اسمه فضله هيدا كله بفضله شو خاص هو اللي
You're really not understanding the difference between protesters and the USFC. This is a huge distinction, and it's very unprofessional to bring up a chant that was said by protesters into a USFC meeting where none of us actually started this chant. So please, let's make this distinction clear, because we had the information we would
Guys, please, let's not deviate from the main focal point of the discussion.
Exactly my point. This is not what we're talking about. The protesters, what they said is something different than what the USFCs are saying.
Aya, thank you for your input, but please, can we just focus on?
But I'd like to clarify my opinion that I'm with the protesters protesting. Okay, just I want to clarify this because I didn't say anything about this matter.
كلنا مع protesting بس in a peaceful way.
فيهم المودريتورز على raising hands please ينظموا الحكي.
Like if you want I can moderate. Yes. Like or Kalin or Muhammad.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to be kind of caught in the crosshairs here. And Kalin, she's muting left and right. So I think it's best if you guys can moderate amongst yourselves and find someone here to do
فينا
so.
على raise hand guys please.
I can do it if you want.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Kalin.
Okay, I don't think any of us here has the mindset of ناطرين الادمنستريشن على الكوع. شو ما بتعمل الادمنستريشن بنطلع شيء بوجهه. Okay, the whole thing is نحن منا ضد الادمنستريشن as a whole, بس once the administration ياخذوا قرارات that we were not informed in, that we were not part of the whole decision making, بدنا نكون ضدها. مش ضروري للآخر ضدها until we get some clarification, ضدها until we reach our goals, ضدها until we reach something. يعني هيدي بآخرة النهار pressure من عنا على الادمنستريشن ومنا ظابطة إنه to go through with what they are saying. I think all of us here and none of us here are 100% completely against the administration. We all here are working towards a good and constructive space to talk with the administration, to share ideas, to share arguments. يعني the point is not نعادل administration ولا لا. The point is for a constructive talk to take place. مش قصة إنه اليو اس اف سي مقسوم 2 ولا 3. I think we are all very great USFCs وعنا شخصيات فارق عن بعضها كتير و I am very proud to be working in such a diverse group لأنه بآخر النهار we need this حتى يكون الجروب ناجح. بس مش إنه مقسم الكونسل USFC كونسل ما كان مقسم. once بتجي فكرة معينة بناخد sides حسب المايند سيت حسب الارجيومنتس. okay, how should we deal with it? And that's the thing, no one has a preset mindset when it comes to any specific thing. Thank you.
Well, I'm also proud to be working with this diverse USFC. If this is the case, يعني, of course we're all on the same page. بس صراحة I really appreciate if one of the people that has the same mindset as me وحكينا وهيك to discuss إنه to say their opinion أحسن ما بين أنا بس إنه بوجه المدفع أمشي برأس المدفع. Thank you.
I have a small intervention. Sorry. You're saying that the USFC is not divided, although all the clubs that constitute the USFC or the individual ran almost under the same platform, whether secularism, independence, competence, and dollarization, implementing PNP. The chief financial officer of the USFC and the student council mentioned that the USFC is not divided. However, we have in the comment section, the secretary of the USFC just admitted that the USFC is divided on many issues, and another one mentioned that there isn't unanimity, and that it's run by intentions. We don't run student governance with intention. We run it with governance. Can I get a comment from any of the USFCs, please?
Guys, are we following the order على participant raising hands أو كيف؟
Kamal, you
We
said
leave
you
that
handled
to
it.
your discussion.
Oh my God, I
Just go
tripped
ahead.
out because someone called Colleen WhatsApped me, and then she was like, "Hi." I'm like, "Oh my God, hi. Is this Outlook Colleen?" And turns out she's a sophomore that needs help. So that's why I just lowered my hand. Okay, no, I don't have anything.
So can I talk?
Go ahead, Bob. Yes, please.
طيب شكرا. Okay, so guys, بس I want to comment on اللي انقال سابقا. Like بعتقد ضاعت شوي طازة. بس anyways, like I think that أنا عم بحكي by my personal points of views هلا لما هذا اللي شيء. So I'm here to represent the students, guys. Exchange rate على 3900 is a 160% increase which will lead for thousands of students. Okay, apparently thousands of students are affected by his decision, وكتير منهم ممكن it would lead to for them not continuing their education. Okay, هلا أنا my job is to represent to voice هدول الdemands تبع هدول الستودنتس ودافع عنهم. 3900 is not suitable. I think so. I think so. وفينا نناقشها أكثر يعني إذا بدكم أكيد ومع الادمنستريشن lately بس يصير فينا نعمل اجتماع يعني. So I don't think that like إنه نحن نجي نقبل هذا القرار هيك دغري ونقول انه they know best او they know better than us, okay, to clap for something that would lead for hundreds of students losing their education. So ما بعتقد هذا الشيء ابدا مناسب برايي الشخصي. برجع بقول لكم اما بالنسبه لانه ما في اكيد في اختلاف على كثير من وجهات النظر. في كثير opinions بتطلع باليو اس اف سي بالنهايه يعني ما بعرف وين ممكن نلاقي 19 واحد يوافق على كل كلمه بنقولها. يعني مالنا بعث نحن ومالنا يعني ما في 90% نتائج انتخابات تطلع هيك يعني. عرفتوا كيف؟ سو بعتقد اكيد رح يكون في كونفليكت بينحل بالفوتينج، بينحل بالدسكشن، بنتوافق احيانا، بس قصدي اتس امبوسيبل انه نلاقي 19 واحد موافق على هذا القرار. يعني في شيء غلط هيك. ما بعتقد هذا الشيء ديموكراتيك. انه اتس نوت ديموكراتيك انه نحن نكون في عندنا 19 اوت اوف 19 موافقين على كل شيء بدنا نعمله. سو ايه بحس في اكيد في قصص ما يعني مش الكل حيوافق عليها، وما بعتقد هيدي مشكله قبل. يعني نحن هلا بعتقد بمعظم القصص اللي عم بتصير عم بيكون في ماجوريتي فوت. يعني 12 بلس ايمتى كانت تصير هيدي؟ قبل لما يكون اليو اس اف سي مقسوم 3 بلوكس، في كان 8 و14 وفي سيكولر. هلا ما بعتقد هيدا الشيء بعده موجود يعني من قبل. بعتقد it's something to point out انه شيء كثير منيح. يعني ما عم بيكون في بلوك ورك، عم بيكون في عالم متوافقه على شيء. So yeah, ما بعرف اذا بعرف شيء.
I just wanted to add on what Jad said and address Rami's question. I think the overall opinion about 3,900 rate is like, I think يعني كلنا we agree انه we don't want 3,900، بس انه at the same time we do know that AV is gonna بدها تكفي هالinstitute، بدها تكفي. So the way we approach stuff and the way we're approaching this issue is different, but I think the unified opinion, we're all the same. We're on the same side. All 19 USFCs are on the same page. But the way we approach it, it's different. That's it.
So if I go back to my question here, would you still say that right now, then at the end of the day, guys, like we have students leaving our side right now, they're not going to be able to pay for next semester's tuition. Would you say right now what's standing in the way of you sitting down and agreeing on a plan, even if that takes a lot of back and forth between what you said there's a difference of opinions, which obviously is a given at any given point here, would you say what's standing in the way is sitting down with the administration, getting some clear answers on some financial transparency, some questions that are exactly targeting what's missing here for you guys, and then this is how you're going to be moving forward? Would you say this is correct? Just from what I'm getting from this conversation.
I wouldn't. I wanted to add something about what Nader and Rami said. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Christine. Go on, Christine.
Yeah, I wanted to add something about what Nader said. There are like two main opinions in the group. Like one specific group who would like who attacks the administration علنا over the media and with the student body, and there's another group who would prefer ما يدخل student body to reach a better solution بلا ما يعملوا chaos around the idea لأنه this would lead to a better understanding بين USFC and the administration. بالنهاية we all want to voice the students مثل ما قال جاد هاني, we all want to represent the students' opinion بس عنا different approaches. يعني ما عم بقول حدا غلط بس إنه في كذا approach على الموضوع. وabout voting process اللي عم بيصير the majority عم بيكون with attacking the administration, which is why هيدا الإيمج عم تنعطى عند هول USFCs. بس لأنه the USFCs هن عم بيعملوا الثورة with the protest, وبنعرف إنه في كتير ناس هن عم بيعملوا الخراب, بس بالنهاية students نظموا هالprotest و like okay there are USFCs in the protest who حقهم بركي لازم I wouldn't know. I'm not gonna give my own opinion on this, بس هيدا الصورة اللي عم تنعطى عن USFCs إنه هن عم بيعملوا هيك حتى لو مش مظبوط.
I just want to clarify my stance. Sorry, I'm always clarifying my stance وهيك. Sorry, it's something important. Yeah, it's something important. Just 1 second. I always want to clarify my stance. I know I'm in a critical phase because I'm always being criticized وهيك وانت بتقولي ناطرين على الكوع وبيقسموا بياخذوا شو بدهم وبياخذوا شو ما بدهم. I just want to clarify my stance. No, I'm against the $3,900 rate. لأنه it's something that we should change and we will be changing this inshallah. I am with peaceful protesting as long as it is peaceful, with discussing with the administration, not attacking the administration, which I am not seeing it lately. So this is the only thing that might be a difference between me and the other USFCs that I want to discuss. I don't want to attack because our only solution passes through the administration. We can't come up with a solution without discussing that with the administration. So this is my opinion. بتمنى انه ما حدا يحرف او شيء يعني ويرجع مثل العاده on the social media. I don't mean any one of the USFCs, the ones that will be watching the interview. Thank you.
Thank you all for giving your input. Guys, please, thank you all for giving your inputs. I insist, I'm afraid I insist on moving on to, sorry?
You guys asked a question about if a meeting with the administration would be our next step and if that would be our first step. And I don't think we answered that question. Can I answer it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it is the first step. It is a step we need to do. It's the first step we need to do. It's not the only step that needs to be done, but we need to have a meeting with administration for a lot of different reasons mentioned in the meeting. Part 1, to ask them questions about their presentation. Part 2, to ask for their numbers, like for financial transparency. And then from there, we can pick it up with complete transparency towards the student body, and propose plans, have more discussions with the administration.
Just allow me to interfere here. According to Article 3A of the USFC, the VP of the USFC, Jad Hani, apparently, he serves as the main spokesperson of the USFC. He shared in December 8 that, and I'm quoting, طارت طاولة المفاوضات لقائنا بالشارع. And now Mr. Saadi, the treasurer, who belongs to the same political club of Mr. Hani, is stating that the first step is a meeting with the administration. Doesn't this contradict the two approaches of the main spokesperson of the USFC, who's responsible on unifying the student council? I wish I can have an answer on this.
بدنا نشوف إذا غيروا رأيهم هلا وبدهم يقعدوا معنا ولا بعد. هذه هي القصة بس.
An answer
بس
from
أنت
you.
already you took the decision إنه طارت طاولة المفاوضات.
I didn't take the decision يا رامي. I didn't take the decision. كل شيء عملناه من الأول لهلا هو reaction على هني شو عم يعملوا.
You have a responsibility toward the student body and you represent the student body and you speak on the behalf of the student body.
بده يتظاهر. شفنا آخر مرة في 1000 طلاب نزلوا تظاهروا.
Okay, but then you are saying that you want to go into a meeting and then you already shared that you have انه انت ما بدك تقعد معهم وطاري طولت المفاوضات، وما قبل 19 تشرين الثاني هو ما بعد ليس كما بعد 19 تشرين الثاني. يعني هون انت حضرتك عم بتناقض نفسك.
او لك لازم اقول طيروا طاوله المفاوضات او هي طارت، كان لازم اقول طيروا يمكن لتكون
انت قلت انت حبيبي ما انا
مش انا طيرتها لطاوله المفاوضات يا خيي، بعثنا لهم ايميلز وهن ما ردوا علينا.
فينا نكون شوي بس civilized بالحكي.
بدي اعمل لك هلا
This isn't a court of law.
Guys, calm down.
I think we can just have I think we can just have a very civilized discussion on both without shouting here.
Guys, that being said, I insist that we move on to the next set of questions.
If you guys have any, if there are any,
I second.
If there are any, wait, okay.
I second.
Muhammad, please, Nader, if you have any closing, if
guys,
please allow me to finish.
Guys, can please Kalin talk? عملوا معروف. Can Kalin talk, please? Okay, Kalin, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I'm just saying, if you guys have any closing comments here, Jad and Rami, you can, Jad, if you want to go ahead and clarify that, because this was a question directed mainly here towards your end, you can do so, but please بلا shouting.
بعتقد وضحتها هلا. هي الفكره مش طارت طاوله المفاوضات يا رامي، ما كان قصدي فيها انه انا ما بقى بدي اقعد معهم. انا I'm open for any communication، بس حسب شو هي هالكوميونيكيشن، اذا بده يخلوني احكي او بده يجوا يعيطوا علي، هيدا بتفرق هون. بلس من رغم كل شيء صار باخر ميتينج، واي ثينك كالين كانت هونيك، I sent an email لهم بس نوضح كل شيء ونقدر تو ريزولف الامور، وما ردوا علي. سو ما بعرف مين اللي طير طاوله المفاوضات بهالطريقه يعني. سو يا مش مشكل anyways يعني. ماشي.
Will there be an agenda for the following meeting? Is it set?
Me and Jad Hani have been discussing the agenda for the following meetings. The points we have until now, we need to spend a big time asking questions about the presentation, and then we need to ask about what information can point one. And I know these are mentioned in the bylaws. Me as a treasurer sitting on the finance committee, I have more insight on the finances of the university. What is this insight in details? Other than that, the second point in financial transparency is, what is AUB willing to show to the public regarding its finances?
Okay, I think that's good for us to move on. Hamad, if you want to continue with the next set of questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Kalin. So the next set of questions will be focusing on the Saturday protests and institutional violence. Now, Sunday's protests took a violent turn when ISF, the army, and riot police met students on Bliss. Numerous accounts of violence, mistreatment, and select arrests of students were reported. What does the committee have to say to the administration about the violence? What are the next steps the committee should be taking to ensure the administration provides safe grounds for student protests in the foreseeable future?
Okay, can I start with it?
Absolutely, by all means.
Sorry, Munzir. Oh, okay, sorry.
Jad talked first. Jad, go ahead, please.
Thank you, guys. Okay, guys, so what really happened in Saturday's protest at the end is that, like, بكل بساطة, AUB students want to raise their demands to the administration by protesting on campus. And I think the mission statement of the university ensures that the students have the right to do that. Okay, we are like فينا كلنا نشوف mission statement ونشوف they like students إذا بدكم أقرأ لكم إياها explicitly. The university believes deeply and encourages freedom of thought and expression and seeks to foster tolerance and respect of the diversity of the dialogue. Anyways, what really happened back then is that we received a very clear message من the ISF with the army forces. Students got beaten up. They got إذا بدكم both ends of the streets were blocked. وصار اللي صار يعني. It was very violent. I guess started the violence are not students. بكل بساطة students just wanted to protest peacefully inside the campus. وما بعتقد حدا حيكون بده يفوت يعمل violence جوات الكامبس يعني. ما بعتقد شيء is tolerated by the administration أو by any representative. هيدي شغلة. هلا condemnation of what has been done by the administration ما بعرف إذا it would cancel out the traumatizing events. Okay, هلا as a committee شو فينا نعمل ما بعرف إذا نحن like already the mission statement states إنه هن فيهم يعملوا هيك. So what more can be done to like ensure the students' right to protest. هلا اما بالنسبه لانه like what the university had as a stance انه they didn't have to do with what happened with ISF, then why would the head of security or chief of security in AUB and like general security guards would be coordinating with the army, and why would they deploy their soldiers on campus؟ اوكي كلنا شفناهم انه طلعوا من جوات مين جيت، وشهود عيان بتفرجي انه فاتوا من ميديكال they parked وطلعوا من مين جيت بس اجوا التلاميذ لهونيك. so ما بعرف like if هيدي هي الترانسبيرنسي اللي كنا عم نحكي عنها. anyways بس as a committee بعتقد نحن we should only call for انه هن they to act upon شو اللي كاتبينه بالميشن ستيتمنت تبعهم. اكثر من هيك شو فينا نعمل؟
اوكي سؤال
بس
جاد انت بتضمن ما حدا من بريد الجامعه يفوت ويكسر؟
بعتقد اذا في حدا عمل هيك like في disciplinary actions فين يخطب حقهم يعني we all know
اوكي
انه
بس اوكي حياخذوا
جاد
disciplinary
بس
actions بس بعد ما تتكسر الجامعه انت بتحط الجامعه بهالريسك؟
هيدي مش شيء انا شيء بقرره، مش شيء انا بقرره يا
مش انت بس انت عم تقول انه كان لازم
خليني انا I have a say
انا معك 100% كان لازم نفوت اون كامبس، بس هو كان في حراك مش بس من جامعتنا، من كافه الجامعات، ويمكن صار في تدخل خارجي ما بعرف مين وليه. مش هون المهم لا خيي مش سفرات. شفنا السفرات جاد
بليز نحن بجامعه مش بالسياسه، احكي politics and governance بليز.
ايه بليز
هو عم بقول كان في عالم تدخل
ما ضروري نسيس كل شيء.
كان في عالم
administration لا حدا جاب سيره السفرات ولا حدا
بليز اوكي let's be civilized here. It's a university. It's not
رامي انا عم بحكي عادي، هو اللي فوت موضوع السفرات.
لازم ما قادر اسمع.
Guys by raising hand اعملوا معروف please.
اوكي انت عم تقول انه كان لازم نفوت اون كامبس نتظاهر، انا معك خلينا نفوت اون كامبس، بس هو كان حراك خارجي ويمكن صار تدخل خارجي. انت بدك تعتبره سفرات تعتبره انت حر، بس انت بتضمن بما انك عم طالب انه اون كامبس وكان في حراك خارجي مش بس لطلاب الجامعه الامريكيه انه ما يصير في تكسير ويفوت عالم من برا؟
طيب بس التلاميذ اللي كانوا حيفوتوا اي بي ستودنتس، ما كنا حنفوت حدا من اللبنانيه اون كامبس.
كانت خابصه.
اذا بدك الحين الباب الصغير وقول لهم انا فشلت لهم الاي دي، انا بي ستودنت وبدي فوت على جماعه
التلاميذ. حيطلبوا منك الاي دي اول ما تفوت.
with all due respect جاد with all due respect انا بالعكس انا with peace في البروتست at the end till the end of the day، ومع انه التلاميذ يطالبوا بحقهم، بس لما يكون في صرخات وعبلس و they are on video وناس كانوا whether students or alumni of this university quote and I'm quoting بدنا جايين نحتل بليس والحمراء، هذا تهديد للجامعه الامريكيه ببيروت وتهديد لكل واحد ساكن بالمنطقه
100%.
انتوا قلتوها.
ليش وين
بلس يا رامي؟
انا بدي اقول لك يا جماعه خليني ما كان في عالم من برا. انت بدك تقنعني تلميذ
خليني
كتب على
في احكي جايز. خلينا نوقف مقاتله.
سوري نادر بس خليني
طلال فينا نوقف مقاتله شوي؟ طيب
لا بس بدي اقول نقطه. جاد عم بقول انه ما كان في تدخل خارجي. مزبوط. طيب انا 100%
كيف قصدك تدخل؟ انا بعدني لهلا مش فاهمين شو قصدك بتدخل خارجي.
جاد ما قال ما في تدخل.
اجى واحد من برا بده يفوت هيك يا خيي يتسلى، هيدا تدخل خارجي.
مين يعني هالواحد؟
اي واحد ماشي.
كانت بروتست لتلاميذ، كانت مظاهره طلابيه، هيدا كان شيء كثير واضح.
بس انت بتضمن انه ما تخبص.
Guys, let's end this one-on-one
guys
انا بس بدي اقول
let's end this one-on-one. let's end this debate please.
بس بدي اقول نقطه. انا مع البيسفل بروتست اكيد 100%، بس كان في ريسك على الجامعه، وانا ابدا ضد اللي صار بانه في طلاب اعتقلوا وهيك. بس انا يعني انا مأكد 100% طلاب الاي يو بي منهم من النوع اللي بيروح بيكتبوا على الارض and I quote فضله خوري حرامي. اوكي طيب هيدا اللي كتبها هيدا منه تدخل خارجي. طيب هيدا اذا عطوك انه اوبشن تفوت اون كامبس تتظاهر، هيدا ما كان باي طريقه من الطرق ممكن يفوت يكسر ويخبط؟ بس سؤال.
هيدي ساعتها كالفونيا جوا الجامعه مع
طلعنا برات السكوب تاع السؤال. فيني بليز احكي لما نقول
السكيورتي بالجامعه يعني في يجوا السكيورتي وينظموها عادي. في كنا بيصير اي بي ستودنت بروتست عملنا وحده بالاف ام وما كسرنا فيهم كتلاميذ اي بي كمان يعملوها.
لما بدنا نعمل ستودنت
بتفوت على الاي دي كثير هينه القصه.
هو حيقول لك ايه بدك تفوت تظهر يلا اي دي تفضل استاذ.
اكيد
لا خيب انت
اكيد لانه انا
انت ما بدك تعمل بروتست بتحكي مع الادمنستريشن ما بتعرف.
Okay, can I please say something?
Please, Jude.
Kalim.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you. This was very intensive. I just want to go back to the question, and I want to say a couple of things. I personally wasn't there to witness everything, but it does not mean that a lot of things were very clear. I think when it comes to protesting, whether what is said, what is screamed, what is shouted, what people cry about, that's what happens أولاً in any protest. And we were all also a part of the thawra. We understand how it goes and how protests are. I can't be also 100% happy dandy. We have angry students. We have angry students مع مطالب كتير واضحة. ولما الطالب يعصب ولما الطالب يطلع يصيح مش راح يحكي اشياء كتير جيدة. And we understand it and we know it, and doesn't mean احنا 100% with what they call verbal abuse or what they called destructive demands. The demands were very clear. The demands were very fair enough on students for them to ask. The issue that what the Outlook's question addresses is that it's the concept of protecting student activism. I think when it obviously entering the university might not have been a full possibility, and asking for it is also very okay. It could not have been a full possibility because a lot of it wasn't only for AUB students. A lot of students as well came from other universities. I hope I'm not wrong, guys. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, but it is also the university's job to protect its students. What happened on Saturday is unacceptable. Students were injured and the university counted it in numbers. And only one student صار له هالشيء, which is not what matters. The concept that the students were even subject to harm, to aggression from security forces is what should be condemned. And the university should have addressed the fact that students were harmed in their their citizen and student rights. On top of this, you can't be comparing a student shouting something terrible to someone dressed in army clothes. You can't compare. We're not on the same scale. Someone screaming and shouting something terrible, that's their right to do. That's their freedom of speech. أما واحد ينزل يضربه, that's what we condemn. It's not the same scale. And I just wanted to say that as USFC, as a person, as Jude as well, I whatever was said during the protest, that's the right. That's what happens in protests, and everyone understands that. And even our parents can vouch for that. AUB alumni can vouch for that. This is what happens. We just need to understand that the reaction to طلاب صغار بالعمر ينضربوا هيك is a disaster. And the security officers بالجامعة were supposed to be there to protect their students and their rights to a democratic process, protesting and saying what they have to say, demanding their anyway, sorry. That's all I wanted to say.
I want to add to what Jude said. Of course, Jude has 100% is totally reasonable with what she's saying, and I'm against.
But I'd like to interlude.
Yeah,
so basically, the question was, what does the committee have to say to the administration about the violence, and what are the next steps the committee should be taking to ensure the administration provide safe grounds for student protests? We all agree that the violence is unacceptable, but what can be done to prevent future violence?
May I answer, please?
I was willing to answer, Muhammad.
Guys, بس please just order لأنه عن جد بس عالم تحكي فوق بعضها عن جد ما رح ينسمع شيء. أنا ما عم بسمع.
Guys, but raise your hands and I'll just say your name and you can talk.
My hand raised.
So I got interrupted and I was saying.
Nader, please. I apologize for this interjection. Go ahead.
Thank you, Muhammad. At first, what I was saying is, we're 19 in the committee, and of course everyone has a certain approach. But I'm talking for myself. I think a lot of the USFCs agree with me. Of course, we condemn the ISF and the Lebanese army for the violence against students, because students don't deserve such violence. They are their rights, and it's their ultimate rights too. And I think إنه أكيد ما فينا نلوم حدا بالprotesting لأنه بالنهاية it's a protest، وإنه saying bad words on someone in a high position is something that is common, to be honest. But I want to condemn something which is outside interference. And I think from now on, in order to get into the university, we have to ensure that the protest is called by AUB students only. As AUB students, we have to protest and we have the right to protest. We can see that the FM students, they protested inside their faculty, inside the university. The AUB PARTA and the AUB faculty in solidarity with the AUB PARTA, they got into university and they protested, and we want to do the same thing. However, we can't do the same thing by having outside interference from universities outside AUB and maybe individuals, not even students. أنا بعرف people calling for the protest. أنا كتير بآمن بمبادئهم بس أنا ما بآمن ب their approach in having outside interference with everyone. So what I mean هون إنه ليش نحن why don't we call for protesting by AUB students ساعتها منفوت بالجامعة without being provocative, without calling for outside protesting. ساعتها هون إلنا الحق. وساعتها إذا AUB ما بتفوتنا على our university to protest peacefully as AUB students, we can hold AUB accountable لأنه خلص نحن إنه إذا AUB students ما عم يقدروا يفوتوا. بس last night on 19 December واقفين وعم يصرخوا على هذا الهوبرلور انه بدنا نفوت انه على جمعتنا بدنا نفوت وفي 15,000 ما بعرف كم student. I don't think that هيدا فينا نقدر نسيطر عليها لانه في يفوت واحد from outside the UB university. I think this action was taken by the Lebanese ISF, even though I condone it. يعني
condemn it, not condone.
I condemn it. Sorry, I don't condone it. Even though I don't condone it, I condemn it. إنه thank you آية. بس it was نتيجة إنه students عم يجربوا يفوتوا على الجامعة و some of them فاتين يكسروا. يعني أكيد نحن ما بنقبل. أنا بدي فوت على الجامعة، بس أنا إذا فتت على الجامعة وكسروا لي الجامعة حدا ما بعرفه، نحن بدنا نتحمل مسؤولية. نحن بنقبل نتحمل مسؤولية هذا الشيء؟ أكيد لا، لأنه وقت مثل جاد كان عم يقول سوري آية بس one more thing. جاد كان عم يقول إيه في disciplinary action. طيب يفوت يكسر لي الجامعة كلها وياخد دينز warning، شو استفدت؟
Okay, but Nader, we also held a protest for the personal as sorry, Manzit, just one sec, just let me get this across. And Nader, we also held protests for the pass no pass. كمان الجيش كان برا والدرك كان برا, we were still not guaranteed access.
100%.
So please, like, yeah, maybe you have. Like maybe I'll agree with you when you say انه okay yeah كيف بدنا يفوتوا تلاميذ on campus إذا في ناس من برا و how is the security guard going to check everyone's IDs, so it's going to be a long process. This is why they didn't let us. Okay, fine, أنا معك. But also وقت الباس no pass we still weren't guaranteed access into the campus وكان الدرك والجيش برا. Why? So
آية صح، آية عم تحكي 100% صح. هي AUB from the 1970s or maybe from 1866 كل ما يصير في protesting they call the Lebanese ISF and they call the Lebanese army وهيك for protection. بس for the
نادر بيقول انه كل مظاهرات العالم
expelled the employees كان
في please don't talk.
كان في Lebanese army and everything, but they didn't do this violence لأنه I think هون صار في مثل تهديد للسلامة العامة ولأملاك خاصة اللي هي تبع AUB، مثل ما صار في تكسير برا للBML ولا other banks. So شو بيضمن لنا نحن ما يفوتوا يكسروا أنا my main point sorry بس I want to conclude it and I won't be talking about this topic anymore. أنا my main point إنه from now on when I want to answer Muhammad's question, which is what are the steps as a committee that we will be doing. أنا my own opinion is to call for AUB student protesting, only AUB students. As students ما يكون في ولا outside interference. ساعتها إذا ال AUB administration doesn't get us into university ساعتها we will hold the AUB administration accountable. وهم بيصير معنا 100% حق. بس having a full protest of all students وكون يعني صراحة protest open okay يعني عن جد ما حنقدر نتبطى. سو خلينا نقدر نتبطى as AUB students ومنفوت على الجامعة وساعتها نحن as USFCs نقدر نضمن إنه there won't be violence إذا كان في بس AUB students. سو فيها تكون منظمة صح، بس لأنه ما كانت منظمة last time ما كنت thank you. أنا خلصت اللي بدي أقوله.
Okay, Munzir, go ahead.
بس محمد, the question I'm not sure if you meant to phrase it in that way, بس why should the USFC have something to say to the administration concerning the violence when basically نحن مجلس طلاب من قلب الجامعة ونحن ما كان دخلنا بالفايلنس اللي صارت. أكيد نحن we're against the violence that happened from both sides أكيد. بس again I think Jad clarified this point earlier على قصة إنه we have the right, AUB students have the right to protest inside of AUB. But as to our opinion on it and what we have to say to the administration, we have nothing to clarify to the administration. ما صار شيء بيناتنا هذا الموضوع. Neither does the administration have anything to clarify to us. On the other hand, between the students that were beaten, بالمعنى يعني لازم يصير في صار في the administration sent an email and their opinion and stance was very clear on the matter. I think يعني I don't think that the USFCs have anything to do with حتى لو some USFC members were present or were part of calling for this protest. I don't think the USFC has anything to do with the organization of this protest or what came out of it or what did not come out of it.
منذر بس
Okay.
just continue محمد if you want.
Okay, thank you Rami, thank you Munzir.
Guys, just so does anyone have anything else to say? بس نود إنه يخلص الميتينج وينقال إيه ما عطينا الchance. I'm leaving it up to you guys to delegate the discussion here.
Okay.
Just so I have to put that out there.
I just have one comment to add on the tuition as a whole, which is something that shocked me yesterday when I thought of it. I think, okay, as much as the whole economic situation in the country is not AUB's responsibility to fix, this is for sure, يعني, but I think AUB is not aligned with the reality of Lebanon. يعني. I just want to give this one example to keep in mind, and people can formulate opinions from there. إذا قسط المد students 160 مليون وأنا في أسحب 5 million from banks monthly, قديش في أسحب من banks monthly? So yeah, that's the whole thing. The whole point I'm saying, even if people have money in the banks, they can't pay for this big tuition مثلا الماد سكول. So all I'm saying انه يلي عم تطلبوا AUB من الطلاب منه رياليستيك، يعني حتى لو معهم مصاري الطلاب منه رياليستيك، ما فينا نسحب من البنوك. That's why يعني all I want to say انه الجامعة بس just one more sentence. الجامعة منا على كوكب تاني غير عن البلد. نحن الجامعة والبلد ايد بايد and they're in the same ecosystem and they affect each other. بس نطلب من الجامعة يكونوا قراراتها reasonable ويكونوا كل قرارات يلي they take it شوي منطقية، انه يلي معه المصاري يقدر يدفع. انه بهالحالة يلي معه cash cannot pay لانه من البنكس ما فينا نسحب. So I think the university has to align just a bit more with the reality in the country. And thank you.
كريم بس بدي to interfere لحظة بس لأنه في ناس حيحضروا هذا الفيديو later on. What you said technically is wrong. Simply basically Lebanese banks still allow إنه يكون عندنا نحن wire transfer من حسابك بالبنك. لا هذا doesn't explain any approach، بس مشان لأنه في عالم حتحضرنا and you said a wrong technical term إنه لا نحن بعد فينا نحول مصاري من حساب لحساب. لا مش إذا حسابك دولار صح، بس إنه just to clarify هذا الشيء. إذا حسابك لبناني فيك تسدده باللبناني، إذا في حسابك لبناني فيك تسدده باللبناني، يعني you can still bill it on the باللبناني على 50 مليون. يعني it's stated أنت تطبع على الويب statement of fees حيكون عليها مثل هلا أنت فيك تدفع دولار وفيك تدفع لبناني، حيضل نفس الشيء فيك تدفع دولار وفيك تدفع لبناني. بعرف على التريبل، بس ما فينا كمان نقعد نحن to spill wrong facts قدام الببليك بس لنكون on the same page with everyone else. Thank you.
Okay, Christine, please go ahead.
I just wanted to answer the question and reply to what Nader said. I totally agree with everything that Nader said. كمان نحن as USFC إنه ما فينا نوقف بوجه students إنه who want to protest ونحكي باسم the USFC in the protest. Whoever wants to talk in the protest يحكي whoever wants to participate in the protest مش لازم يحكي باسم ال USFC، يحكي باسمه as an individual. وكمان كتير مهم إنه ما نخلي يصير فيه outside interference، لأنه ما بيصير ال amount of disrespectful comments اللي صاروا مثلا I quote إنه كتب على الحيط فضل خوري حرامي حدوا في sign of communism. هول بشك كتير إنه يكونوا تلاميذ ال AUB كتبوا هيك قصص، بس بالنهاية هيدا حياة الجامعة تبعنا، إنه مش منطقي وما حدا من تلاميذ ال AUB ولا ال administration رح يقبل هيك يصير بالجامعة. That's it basically.
Khalid, please.
Okay, I wanted to add something about the protests. أول شيء I'm not with إنه حدا من برا to interfere بهول ال protests. Okay, I agree على this point. في شيء كثير مهم إنه نحن as AB students ourselves we should be organizing a protest. حتى إذا بدنا إياها to be very politically civilized كل شيء بتكون very fair to everyone و accessible لكل العالم. We could probably call for it نحن as USFC in a very peaceful manner. Okay, if you're gonna go call for it, this protest. ما بحس administration is gonna go tell you yes, thank you, welcome. You're gonna go and have a protest on our campus. Okay, I get. كمان بدنا نتذكر شيء كثير مهم يلي هو إنه هول العالم most of them يلي نزلوا لتحت هن ناس ما بقى قادرة تدفع their tuition fees. It's not about إنه ما بقى فينا ندقر على كل كلمة حتنقال تحت، ما فينا ندقر على كل proverb، على كل كلمة، على كل واحد شيء قاله تحت وشيء صار تحت. اوكي نحن كلنا we're against violence، نحن we're against violence من both sides. ما حدا مع انه حدا يضرب الثاني، حدا يأذي الثاني، منا مع students يتعوروا، منا حدا مع انه نأذي الجامعة تبعيتنا. بس at the same time نحن يلي بدنا اياه انه for the university to give us a ground to let us voice our concerns بطريقة نقدر بس نوصلهم الفكرة. ما ضروري بس نحن as USFC، عم بحكي أكتر as a student. Students كثير بدهم يحكوا مع الجامعة، كثير بدهم يكون في communication مع الجامعة. ما حدا بحس هدفه انه يعلق مع الجامعة او يوصل لمرحلة طريق مسكرة. مثل ما كنتوا عم تقولوا بالنهاية نحن كل شيء بدنا نعمله هو انه نكون مثل a bridge كcommunication bridge معهم للجامعة. ما حدا منا فايت بس بطريقة انه يلا انا بدي كسر راسي مع الجامعة وهيك، and this is not gonna lead to anywhere. But the point is انه sometimes الجامعة is not being responsive. مثل ما قبل شوي they mentioned وقت pass no pass the protest was super peaceful، وكمان اجوا ال ISF كمان صار فيها interruptions من هالنوع. انه هذا اللي نحن كنا عم نفكر فيه. نادر كان عم بيسال وطلال بعتقد كان عم يطلب اذا فينا تنعمل هيدي البروتست accessible on campus بطريقه انه positive مع الجامعه. بس I don't think this is even possible. انا ما بعتقد انت اذا رحت هلا بعثت ايميل للجامعه guys we're gonna organize a protest ما رح تنقبل بنفس الطريقه. That's what
خالد they don't trust us anymore. كل شيء عم يصير، كل outside interference اللي عم بتصير they don't trust us anymore. مستحيل يعني اذا بنقول لهم حيلا شغله بيقولوا لنا لا اكيد في hidden agenda ورا هيدا. لانه I talked to the administration، جربنا انه we reached out كم USFC انه we have some proposals, we want to submit some proposals. عن جد we lost their trust to be really honest. يعني كل شيء بتقول لك لا اكيد في hidden agenda ورا هيدا. يعني we lost their trust عن جد خالد. that's why. او كنت
You're breaking up.
Yeah, he's breaking. So Ali, do you
Guys,
want to
كمان
talk?
رح يقطع ساعتين ما بدي أطول على we have PARTA to discuss which is going to take time.
I think guys كلنا عم نصنع القرارات بهالكونسل.
Can I say something?
كلنا بنعرف انه ما في hidden
Kareem, I'm
agendas.
sorry, Ali, sorry.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes,
okay.
Please go
Guys,
ahead.
عم تسمعوني؟ Okay, so أنا basically اللي بدي أقوله إنه ما في حدا على USFC، وأنا بأكد لكم يعني ما في حدا على USFC that is against negotiations مع الجامعة. بالعكس that was the first demand اللي انطرح بالبروتست واللي انطرح بالماد بروتست واللي انطرح بكل البروتست اللي كانوا عم بيصيروا، إنه يكون مجلس الطلاب مشارك بصنع القرار، مش بيجي الميتنج بينعطى القرار عنه وخبر للتلاميذ.
You're breaking up.
Okay, so should we move on to the next person? ما بعرف أو
wait أعطيه 1 second. عادة دايما بيصير عنده هيك علي.
Okay.
فيني أنا كفي عن علي بليز؟ أول شيء
Okay, go ahead.
thank you for appreciating our efforts and our hard work. تاني شيء بس بدي أقول إنه أوكي خسرنا التراست اللي يمكن بيننا وبين الادمنستريشن، بس at the same time this trust was not built من الأساس على إذا بدكم فوق الطاولة أو بطريقة واضحة، لأن دايماً we were calling for meetings بس ما حدا عم بيرد علينا. So what else can we do to let our demands and the demands of the student reach the administration? Like we had to do something, and we cannot just sit and do nothing about that. So بتخيل كرمال هيدي التراست تكون مبنية لازم يكون في good communication مع الادمنستريشن، لازم دايما يكون في meetings عم بتصير، لازم this bridge يكون very clear and on continuous basis، مش انه كل سنة نعمل meeting مرة وبالاخر ما نوصل لولا شيء وما نعرف شو بدنا نعمل. Yeah, that's it basically.
Kareem, you wanted to say something?
Just very quickly. Point one, I really think we are wiser and smarter to generalize one chant or one incident in the protest على كل attendees تبع الprotest, and that is what we should be doing. That's one point. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I think it slipped. خلاص, never mind. Thank you, Outlook. Just we can move on. راحت الفكرة من بالي.
Guys, عم تسمعوني بس؟
Yes, we can hear you, Ali.
Yeah, the AB Wi-Fi was really lagging. ما بعرف what I can do better than AB Wi-Fi, but it's fine. Did you hear what I was saying ولا برجع بعيد؟
لا ارجع عيد ما سمعنا.
Oh, I think he's gone again. Like ما بعرف.
ال AB هالقد صار يعني بركي they're on a budget. Anyways.
خلوا آية.
لا, this is.
ماشي الحال؟
Go ahead.
Okay, so what I was saying was إنه يعني ما في حدا بال USFC is against negotiations مع الإدارة. no one. لأن القرار بالآخر بده يطلع من الإدارة مش حيطلع منا. يعني هن بدهم يغيروا التسعيرة، بدهم يوطوا التسعيرة، بدها تطلع من الادمنستريشن. هلا اللي صار هو انه الادمنستريشن is not being that open to negotiations. يعني عم بيجي هو العلم، عم بيجي الخبر او الميتينجز عم بيكونوا بمثابه علم خبر لليو اس اف سيز. نحن مثلا بدنا نحكي باخر ميتينج، اجا كنا عم نعمل ميتينج، عملوا لنا البرزنتيشنز تبعوا اللي عملوهم بالتاون هول. We were like okay, we were asking questions. This was a Q&A in order to discuss it later. بعدين هلا what happened was انه بعد few days later بينزل القرار بيصير
علي قطش again. شو صار بعد القرار؟
The decision was mentioned.
علي لأنه قطش. You said بعد القرار.
yeah. Basically أنا اللي عم بقوله إنه هو the main point of the protests اللي صاروا بميد سكول واللي صاروا on Saturday واللي عم بيصيروا in general هو إشراك الجسم الطلابي من خلال مجلس الطلاب بصنع القرار، مش إنه ينعطى القرار هيك منزل.
Yeah, I think it cut again.
اوكي. كان جاي كانوا عم يحكوا بالقرار كان انه خلص this is it. What do you think about this plan that we have? وطلع القرار a few days later نزل هيك officially without us even being able to discuss it in further meetings. So hey, that was the point عن قصة انه في عالم ضد negotiations، في عالم بتكسر راس براس الإدارة. That's not very true. هلا اللي صار السبت was قصة excessive use of power, excessive use of violence. يعني هن التلاميذ طيب اوكي التلاميذ بدهم يفوتوا على الجامعة ماشي، كل بوابات الجامعة حديد وكل بوابات الجامعة الحديد مسكرة وفي هذا الباب الصغير للحديد كمان مفتوح. اوكي انا ما بدي اخلي التلاميذ يفوتوا على الجامعة، شو بعمل؟ بسكر الباب بالحديد. ما في حدا حيطلع من السقف وينزل بالطيارة لجوات الجامعة. يعني كان في الحل ما يفوتوا التلاميذ على الجامعة was very simple اللي هو تسكيرة الباب وما في حدا في يفوت لأن الباب حديد. قصة مسيل وهجموا وكر وفر ويطلعوا وينزلوا وضربونا بزواريب وضربونا وهذا it was excessive use of power and excessive use of violence that was not necessary. هن اخذوها حجه يعني بدهم يفوتوا التلاميذ على الجامعه بلا ما يسكروا الباب كبوا مسيل وضربونا وضربونا بالزواريب وطلعونا ونزلونا واخر شيء بيقولوا لنا انه they were شو قال استفزون كبوا علينا قنينه مي انكب علينا مسيل. So this excessive use of power that was the problem. يعني المشكله ما كانت قصه فوتي على الجامعه وطلع من الجامعه، فوتت الجامعه بتسكر البوابه خلصت. فده was it.
May I add something? Because ما حكيت ولا رامي, I saw that you unmuted. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, continue, please.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to talk about 2 points. أول شيء مشان قصة الفورين agendas ما فيها أبداً بالنسبة إلي شيء غلط إنه students of Lebanon to unite over an issue اللي هي مش بس خاصة بالAUB. يعني هاي كانت protest رحنا على الأليو as well ورجعنا نزلنا على الAUB because هيدا القرار اتاخد ب 2 universities والتلاميذ اتحدوا over one common demand. منه شيء غلط. من هون وطالع رجعنا قررنا نحن ناخد نعمل البروتست بس لأيوبي because مثلا شايفين our situation different أو شايفين this sort of pressure. ما مش الحال مع الإدارة, ما فتح لنا نادر أنا ما قلت USG وبعدين USG هن قالوا إنه بدهم يعملوا هيدا القرار.
بس USG كانوا تحت. That's what I was saying. USG قصة كانوا تحت.
USG قالوا بدهم يعملوا هيدا القرار بس حاليا it's frozen. So ما بتعرف أي سنة يمكن يرجعوا يفعلوا. So بعدين there is nothing wrong for showing solidarity for your friends from other universities who
of course لا أنا أكيد ما قلت it's wrong. I respect USG for staying in solidarity.
Making my point. Okay.
Yeah.
ها أول point. So أبداً ما فيها شيء غلط in my opinion. وأكيد نحن we're open to mobilize in any way that we see that it's fit for the student body and no one else. أنا هون to represent the student body مثل ما هني بدهم مني أنا بعمل. Because I'm here to represent them. I'm not here to do anything else. ها أول نقطة. ثاني نقطة for someone who said إنه نحن we lost the trust of the administration. Standing with the student body loud and clear, giving the student body or showing the student body what they want and what they need causes us to lose the trust of the university or the administration, which is something we were elected to do. I don't think so. We were transparent with the student body وقت الباس نو باس وهيدا حقنا لأنه هني the major stakeholders بالباس نو باس مش الجامعة ومش حدا تاني علاماتهم their future. So I'm gonna be out here telling them why ما وصلن حقهم. Why don't وما بندم على هذا القرار ولا 1% because حقهم يعرفوا everything that happened. Being transparent with the student body, working towards their demands بيخلينا نخسر the trust of the administration. ليش؟ نحن هون نكون part of the administration ونحن student representatives. Student representatives represent the student body. وبس. Thank you.
Allow me to segue into the next question, guys. I'm gonna have to interlude here because صراحة من طويل there's one important part that we haven't covered yet. I just mentioned that you represent the student body and that's obviously what you were elected to do. You were elected by the students for the students. As a student myself, forget that I'm addressing you as a journalist here. People want to kind of even question my title. I'll give them that. As a student myself, my parents are paying big money next semester. I'm going to ask the following question, bearing in mind that a lot of us have so much to lose. Our bank accounts are drained. Some of us are third generation students here. I'm just going to ask a question here because someone said in this case, oh, mal administration for against. In all cases, you guys have the responsibility to sit down with the administration. Is this correct? We need some stuff to get through. You're going to have to sit down. You're going to have very difficult conversations.
أكيد.
My question here would be, so in the last USFC meeting, I was there and I noticed that there was no communication lines. This is not me blaming you guys. I was there. I noticed that, you're not given the chance. You can clarify on this. So there's an obvious divide between the USFC and the administration. how are you guys looking to address these broken lines of communication? Because I did mention in my letter that these sit downs need to happen in order for decisions to go through. How are you looking to kind of, you know, do you view this communication line and mending those as a top priority right now? And like, how are you navigating what are the important decisions to be made in the next meeting, and considering the pressing issues of dollarization and the protest violence, which is yet something really important that a lot of students also have the right for you to address, that you need to sit down and say, hey, the next time we hit the streets, our students have to be protected. How confident are you about this next dialogue? That's my question. This is me reaching out as a concerned student. And someone was even talking about the fact that, okay, we need to kind of look at the data again to see if we need to fight 3900, or should we instead give our efforts to work in spite of 3900, which is something else. Let's say it stays there. How are we going to manage payments? How are we looking into financial aid? These are very important questions. So please, I hope you can clarify this. I'm concerned and I'm asking.
I could clarify this, unless someone has his hands up.
No, Jude.
Yeah, I just want to add small things to Colleen's question. It's a very fair question, and we definitely did have that concern, especially when you, as you saw in the last meeting, was also the one that you attended was quite an exception, because as you saw, the first, I don't know, I think hour was it, or 40 minutes of the meeting was them very much I don't know what's the right word to use, but كأنه بهدلونا, كأنه they were like attacking us or not attacking us, accusing us of a lot of issues, and we had no chance to respond. And what ended up our response was based on the tuition fees, and it would just came as questions. So that's why كان في كتير يعني ضيعان in terms of the communication lines. And I personally consider we had an exchange of emails with the administration recently that seemed promising in terms, and they addressed this issue with the communication aspect of things, that there were some issues with the communication last meeting we had, and we're hoping that this is fixed. We also stressed how we hope that the administration really takes into consideration that the knowledge of the USFCs is not taken for granted and is not treated as just mere, students مش عارفين شو جايين يعملوا, because we get treated like that a lot, and sometimes it feels like we are props. But the response was, in my opinion, quite promising from the administration, and we're only looking forward from there on in a hopeful way, for our next meeting to discuss these exact details and concerns. Whether يحكون على 3900 ايش رح يعني, what does that exactly mean, the details, كل هدول, that's exactly what Karim was stressing, is that before we even find the perfect solution, there are multiple solutions, there are multiple possibilities of what this means from there on for every student, and there's case by case situations. كل واحد and his bank is a whole other thing, and there's the ones who earn in dollars. There's just a lot of miscommunication and confusion on the details of information, and that's why we need more financial transparency. Financial transparency, I guess, means more details and more communication on our questions, because our questions were quite simple and short in that meeting that we had. Because once you're bombarded with that many numbers, we also took our time alone as USFCs, and as I consider ourselves experts on كل واحد in their field, and so we took our time. A couple of people on the committee took their time to analyze these numbers. لأنه once you're in the meeting, it's not the same thing. It's really not the same thing. So we're hoping from there on our questions are answered, our proposals and our opinions on كل واحد also have his own idea for a solution is also very much fostered by the administration. We're really looking forward to that, and we hope that happens. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right, Ali, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm gonna be answering the question very shortly. أنا مثل ما قلت صراحة، ونحن USFCs نحن we need the administration to pass these decisions. صح؟ نحن إيدنا مفتوحة للمفاوضات always 100%, because the administration is these decisions. The communication is being interrupted مش مشان نحن we don't want to negotiate. Okay. هلا نحن we need وقت بدنا نحكي ب these decisions مثل ما كنا عم نقول first demand of the protest كان انه مجلس الطلاب يكون مشارك بصنع القرار since the students are the main stakeholders بقصة التويشن. الإدارة ما فيها تروح تعمل a plan لحالها وتحط the entire plan and then come and drop it onto the students and be like we're going to increase the financial aid, you're going to be fine, therefore 60% 40% وهيك. The main thing هلا يعني اللي نحن we hope to do is that we want to move forward إنه be able, we want the administration to be as open to negotiations as we are open to negotiations with them. You get what I mean? يعني أنا مثل ما عم بقول نحن قلنا إنه we're gonna discuss this tuition increase in the next meeting. نتفاجأ next few days إنه بيطلع the tuition increase official وكان the role, the entire role of the USFC was sidetracked. انه نحن خلص قلنا لكم we discussed it with the student representatives قلنا لكم انه حنزيد التوشن that يعني your role as USFCs was basically just to ask questions about the plan that we had already set. وأنا بعت له email لدكتور فضل خوري expressing my concerns about these. أنا بعت له a personal email since it was kind of tense that meeting. بعت له a personal email. I was like, these are my concerns. That's what happened in the meeting. That's what I was afraid of. What the students that I'm representing are afraid of. And we don't have a voice when we want to reach these decisions, the decisions that are very major to the students and that are going to affect the students, we have no voice in. فهلا الطابة بملعب الإدارة. يعني نحن we're going to have to find some kind of leverage in order to like be able to make the decision with the administration. نحن ما بدنا نعمل decision هيك من راسنا يعني اكيد نحن بلا اليونيفرسيتي وين بنروح؟ اوكي صار الدولار على 1005 واليونيفرسيتي فلست. So where do we study؟ بس انه ما فيهم كمان نحط التويشن 3900 without even talking to the students about it, seeing what they think, just minimizing the role of the student representatives into asking questions of an already set plan that apparently wasn't going to change whether we liked it or not during the meeting. مشان واكبر دليل على هيدا انه نزل القرار بعد كم يوم يعني بعدنا ما كنا خلصنا discussions بالموضوع ولا حتى بلشنا discussions وقتها كان. That's basically what I wanted to say, and we need to find leverage. أنا ما اللي حاطه براسي and we need to find ways. Okay, the administration wants to negotiate, that would be perfect, you know. But is that we want them to be more open to negotiating with the students. We need to find some sort of leverage, whether it's in numbers, whether it's in peaceful protests, whether in anything else, and then we'll see where we can move forward from there. مشان إذا ما في negotiations من الأول it's still gonna be tense. هن مش حيردوا علينا، نحن مش حنرد عليهم، حيصير بس في escalation طالع نازل yeah, basically that's it.
This is precisely my point. I mean, you made very strong statements here. It's understanding, it's speaking a different language when you're in that room. You guys are given the power that a lot of students don't have. So students hit the streets because that's the only way they can, let the administration know, here are my 2 cents on this, I'm not okay. But I think this is really important for me to say, and you know this already, you guys have power beyond you. I would kind of consider you guys as, this is a politics room here with the administration. You're kind of approaching these rounds of discussions on a higher caliber, and I think what you said, Ali, it kind of shows that you guys understand that. That said, I was in the meeting. It was very tense towards the end. I remember once they announced that the dollar rate is 3900, we were all kind of shocked at the decision. It was kind of sudden. We went through what was like 30 minutes of slides and numbers. Obviously not something to digest, as you guys said as well. But eventually towards the end, Jad, you can back me up on this. There was a very clear divide. The meeting ended abruptly as well. It took a bit too long, and then it was cut short towards the end. My question to you, Jad, next meeting, are you guys willing to kind of, what's your tactic here? What's your communication tactic? And this is, I think, what students are also concerned with. You need to go into that room and make sure that you bring in some change. Are you willing to negotiate in a way that's smart, in a way that puts you guys at an advantage, and as Ali said, give you leverage?
Can I add on the last question one sentence
Sure.
before Jad speaks? I think all that Ali said is amazing. I think one very respectful and good step the administration could have made is showed us the data a couple of days earlier and then scheduled another meeting in a week from when they showed us that data, saying that, hey, you have time to analyze the data and you have time to ask these questions. And that did not happen. Unfortunately, Ali said all that I wanted to say. So yes, Jad can go ahead.
Okay, so guys, we're more than ready to sit on a table ودiscuss الأمور بطريقة كتير واضحة، مش بطريقة إنه نحكي عموميات. إذا نحن نروح نقعد وبنشوف وين كان عم بيكون في مشاكل بالفاينانسز، لأنه I truly believe إنه الديسيجن مش بس من وراء الإيكونوميك كرايسيس. اوكي، شو قادرين نحن نعمل، كيف قادرين نحلها، كيف قادرين نلاقي يمكن more suitable solutions as a student body, will be more than happy to do that. بس هذا الشيء اللي ما كنا عم نقدر نعمله، وحده لانه ما في financial transparency، وحده لانه ما عم بيكون في the proper lines of communication that should be set. نحن جاهزين لنعملهم، بس هن ما بعرف اذا ما بدهم يعني او شو الوضع يعني، انه طلعت الديسيجن and then قالوا لنا انه يلا ميري كريسماس بنشوفكم بعد الاعياد. انه how does that work بهيدي السيتويشن اللي كثير كريتيكال؟ بالجانيوري حتبلشوا على 3900، حتى اللي مكسور عليه شيء حيصير يدفعوا على 3900 اللي مكسور عليه من الفول او من السمر. I don't know what's the reason behind هدول القصص او what's the motive behind them. The situation is very critical. اذا هلا بدقوا لي بيقولوا لي يلا امشي نعمل ميتنج بنزل بس انه we're only waiting for them. مثل ما قال علي، الطبيب بملعبه.
So as a student, allow me to kind of give this suggestion. This is not me reaching out as a journalist. This is me as a student who pays tuition مثل حياة لشخص meeting وبهالجامعة. I would suggest next meeting and you going in, and when it comes to fine, the administration taking these decisions, أنا معك, time should have been given to analyze these.
You muted yourself, Colleen.
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. I was saying, I mean, I agree with you on that sense. Numbers should have been analyzed, and I mean, I know from a few members who anticipated that the administration was not going to do a follow-up USFC meeting. There was concern there. I agree with that. That said, I allow me to suggest something, not as a reporter here, even though I'm coming with these shoes on. Allow me as a student to suggest. I think the next time you sit down with the administration, it's important to ask them questions that back up into corners that allow us to get what we want, and not coming into the meeting and saying, oh, but how are you? I mean, Jad, you came in during the last meeting, you talked about them not having morals, them not thinking of students, them not thinking of the professors, the part-timers. All that is correct. This is what we think is the repercussions of this tuition increase. But as a representative, I think the questions you have going into the next meeting should be very calculated and should not come from a place of emotions. The anger is on the streets, the anger is there. It's very prominent, and I'm sure they can hear it from the building. So I hope the next time you go into that meeting, and the minutes should be disclosed. This is something as a student, I'm not going to be joining. On my last email, I did say I'm not going to be joining these meetings. I think Christine can do a great job with the meetings as a secretary. You guys have the responsibility to report on the questions you ask inside and to make sure that these questions are very tactical and they bring in clear results and clear answers. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you كثير Colleen. Yeah, I think that was the plan الأول يعني. بس yeah, thanks a lot for raising this.
I think what Colleen said was very, very, very beautiful.
I just want to thank Colleen and Muhammad for making this happen, and thank Rami for being here with us. But before leaving, I have some questions.
We still have to talk about PARTA before we go into anything. I mean, if you guys are still willing to. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know if this is going to be posted on YouTube, right?
Yeah, as I mentioned to you guys.
Are you going to edit it, or it's going to be posted مثل ما هي؟
مثل ما هي هلا whatever it is. هلا أي ساعة فتنا when I started recording it was around 3:38 until everyone joined. Until now, it's مثل ما
Okay,
هي. أنا Karim, I don't know any editing skills. My video editors graduated. I'm really sucky with tech, so don't really worry about this.
and you're going to
not
write
gonna-
an article about it, right?
I'm not gonna comment. If there's gonna be a commentary, I'm gonna leave it to my writers. Anyone who wants, if you guys even want to write something about this, you can go ahead. I mean, I have something else to comment on outside of all this.
Okay, and regarding the first recording, the meeting we had with the
Ellie,
administration,
you've
isn't
been
it going to be
you've been
posted?
parroting on the group since during finals. I know I'm بعمل my final.
I remember someone said it's going to
Just
be
let me
posted.
finish. Let me.
I just
No,
want
no,
an
no,
answer.
no.
Yes or no?
I'm. Ellie, allow me to clarify because الحكي برات taking things out of context, it just doesn't work. You bringing this up is beyond the point. Whatever is being said right now is clearly you're taking time from us discussing something about PARTA. I was going to address this towards the end in case anyone wants to skip through the last part. There was no recording. Anajer, what you were chiming into the Outlook discussion group talking about all this. As much as I respect, I have recordings because I wanted to report on what happened during the USFC. Select members were here. I was going to report on the fact that the administration and the USFC did not have clear routes of communication, which I'm addressing right now. We just addressed this during the meeting. We just spoke about it. I just gave Jad Hani my comments on going into the next meeting. And I also refrained from doing Christine's job in this case, which is reporting. I'm not going to really, أنا بالنسبة لهلا أنا ولا مرة قلت I'm going to release the recording. I said I'm going to write a commentary. And then when I wrote my email, I said I'm going to refrain from commenting what happened during that meeting because that's your job. I don't want to interfere with your job. I set up this meeting so you guys can clearly state out what you want to say to students, and this will be posted on YouTube the way it is. أكتر من هيك, I think I'm doing it my job. If you say I'm doing a crappy job, I'll respect that, but I'm trying to do my best here, and there's nothing more I can do. And
not
I never said.
يعطيكي ألف عافية.
We really appreciate your
عم
effort. Thank you so much for giving us
عم
this
نخلي ولا صاحب يا جماعة. كليم, thank you for your efforts عن جد.
Okay, but I was speaking, صح? I was speaking, and I was thanking you.
Yeah, but
so just 1 second. Thank you. Karim, we really appreciate the meeting that you set up to give us this platform to communicate with you and the student body, and we really, really appreciate your efforts, Anjad. From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
And I was going to comment on what happened with the president towards the end, but I don't ever want to kind of bring in people to say, oh, عم بيحكوا عن الموضوع when there's more important things.
It's fine. You didn't answer my question, but I guess I'll take it as a no.
I used recording. I never said that. Again, your question, which you've been hammering on the Outlook group on scoring political points on an Outlook discussion group does not. Oh, well, as you can see, طلع من الجروب. بين كتير إنه USFC member همه أكتر to score political points and popularity points on the Outlook discussion group when he is here to talk about PARTA. So guys, I'm really not going to take more of your time. I have one more question on PARTA if you guys still want to answer that. I know كتير تأخر المية.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll clarify my point on PARTA later on, but let's move on to PARTA. My last question is, in an address yesterday, your committee announced support of the alliance, of the PARTA alliance. How can the USFC leverage resources to help the part-timers in reclaiming their demands? And what responsibilities can the students take on to support these professors? And then I have a small follow-up question after that, but I think this is the main kind of focus here.
I just, if you guys don't mind me quickly saying or answering the question, I believe that in terms of resources and leverage, I don't personally know what that exactly looks like. However, a general support and solidarity goes a long way. This is why we decided to do that. I think what can be considered resources and leverage is the faculty aspect of the USFC. I think there needs to be I would like to, I'm very intrigued to see what the faculty's role exactly is in the USFC. Do they also represent faculty? Do they also represent only just the students and the professor? I think this needs to be used as a form of resource when it comes to discussing part-time professors' demands. As in terms of student representative responsibility, I think we have yet to find out how our support can go beyond just releasing a statement in solidarity, because it's also, I think Kaman, I want to clearly point out that you sent the questions saying that some students who are having some struggles. I think we can also work on that as student representatives, seeing how we can find we can fix this miscommunication between a part-time professor and a student in terms of withholding grades. But from what I know so far, and from what my experience as Jude as well, part-time professors have been very, very what's the word, accommodating, I think, in terms of the students who were actually asking for, no, I'd like this grade to be posted or not. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Oh, now that you mentioned, sorry, I know a few freshman students looking to kind of they want their grades, they want access right now amidst transfer applications. So would you say that these students are currently being are you looking for a middle ground here, still supporting the PARTA Alliance, and members of the PARTA Alliance are still kind of accommodating these students, especially ones who are in dire need of their grades?
Yeah.
Okay, so for this point, personally, I know a couple of part-time professors, and I think their main goal, and as we all know by now, it's not to affect the students or to hurt them in any way possible. We all know that this decision is just to kind of make a point to the administration, to make themselves heard out. So they basically don't want to hurt the students. And I know a couple of professors who are actually contacting the students. They're contacting every class they have about the matter of their grades, and they're actually telling them that to send them individual emails for the people who are graduating, for the people who need to transfer, and every person who has a specific case, for their grade to be posted on a basis, because they actually need it. And while for the others who don't have any critical circumstance, they can withhold their grades as a sign, like to show like their point and to make a point with the administration. So I don't think that they're doing something wrong, and they're not jeopardizing any of their, like, how to say it, they're not doing anything that harms the students after all.
No, of course not.
So what I can say, as like as representatives, we can get in contact with the professors, with those professors who are withholding the grades, and we can get into communication, because always there's going to be a small party of these professors who will actually withhold the class grades but we can get in contact with them and to let them sending the grades for the people who actually need, for the people who are transferring, going abroad or anything. So I think that's where our role lies in. So yeah, that's what I have. Karim wants to add something.
في يزيد على خالد. Hello.
Hey, you guys are free to speak.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Just first of all, I just want to mention that a lot of professors, and I'm not sure if this was mentioned in the PARTA email, the big one, but a lot of professors have been sending emails to their classes saying that if there is, they are clearly mentioning that إذا في شيء specific case أو حدا عم يتخرج أو حدا بده يقدم their grades لجامعات برا, they will provide them with their grades. I just want to point out the common ground between PARTA and the whole student body and the student council as well. I just want to point out one of our the most common thing we are calling for كلنا بنعرف هون انه maybe our the stuff that we are asking from the administration might not align at most times, but I think one common thing everyone is asking is the administration to treat everyone as a stakeholder, to sort of approach the finances problem in a more, let's say, in a more inclusive manner, لأنه what PARTA and what the student body are both demanding, which is the same, is a good constructive dialogue with the administration for their يعني بآخرة النهار الأساتذة are a very important player بالجامعة مثل ما هن يعني they are the heart of the staff in بالجامعة عنا, and I think the student body and the PARTA are both demanding the same thing, which is just please administration تعالوا احكوا معنا, please, we have some demands that need to be met. And I think this is where PARTA and the student body can be can join hand in hand, يعني انه نطلب انه الادمنستريشن تجي وتتسمع على what we have to say يعني. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
I think there's something that needs to be clarified يعني حسب ما أنا فهمت because we've been إنه يعني كstudents مش USFCs بس إنه كstudents mainly we've been establishing like these communication channels مع our part-time faculty because there are professors وهيك. I don't think يعني حسب ما عم بفهم من how the discussions and meetings are going إنه يعني it's not either we support the students struggle to ما يدفعوا على 3900 أو we support the faculty أو بنوصل لميدل جراوند. مش يعني أنا حسب ما عم بفهم يعني إذا نحن بنفكر فيها منطق إنه نحن مش حندفع هن حاطين الادمنستريشن براسهم بدهم يدفعوا على 3900 ماشي، بس هل 3900 اللي عم ندفعها مش اصلا حتروح على البارت تايم فاكولتي لان للبارت تايم فاكولتي مش حيعطون شيء. يعني اذا كان حيعطون شيء من ال 3900 اللي نحن عم ندفعها كانوا اوريدي عملوا لهم جارانتيز انه اوكي هندفع الستودنتس على 3900 حنعطيكم نحن this package. So it's not انه يعني our interests are not against each other لان هن قال لهم حسب ما فهمت انه they don't have a part of the central budget, they're gonna get quote unquote the leftovers. فيعني I don't see there's a conflict of interest بين the supporting PARTA and supporting the students the students. وفوق هيك نحن انه انا personally based on انه the things that part-time faculty were going through, students know that all too well. يعني قصة انه يعني انا مثلا بدنا نحكي انه the administration is not actually being open to negotiations, is not actually being open to discussions. يعني بده يصير في this kind of leverage مثل ما كنا عم نقول كرمال نقدر نوصل نحن وياهم للادمنستريشن لمحل. لان نحن وقت ما نحكي ب power dynamics the administration is a lot more powerful than the USFC, the administration is a lot more powerful than the part-time faculty. So نحن لما بدنا نحكي كيف بدنا نقدر to gain this leverage in order to be able انه نوصل نحن كتلاميذ او كبارت تايم فاكولتي هن عم بيطرحوا الحلول اللي هن شايفينها مناسبه، نحن عم نطرح الحلول اللي نحن شايفينها مناسبين. كيف نحن فينا نقدر نوصل لصناعه القرار؟ بس ما فينا نقول انه our struggle في conflict of interest بصير بين students وبين بارتا، انه اذا بدكم تساعدوا بارتا ما فيكم ما تدفعوا على 3900 لان 3900 مش عم تروح على بارتا. فهي كمان raises another question انه نحن ال 3900 على شو عم بتروح؟ عرفتوا كيف؟ يعني ما زال قالوا هن بفضلوا last email انه they released the staff of AUBMC ليقدروا يامنوا وقدروا امنوا from this release dollar packages للفاكولتي. نحن عشان ندفع 3900 that point should be clarified لان نحن بدنا نعرف كيف هال 3900 عم تنصرف والمصاري اللي قبل the endowments وكل التويشنز اللي اندفعوا كيف انصرفوا اصلا. ف that's it, that's what I have to say.
Right. I think it's very evident right now, I think, to a lot of students and then administrators who are going to be watching this that, you know, a meeting is very it's fundamental in the next few days. I hope the studio can also generate some pressure for it to kind of generate a sense of urgency for the upcoming meeting. And I think a lot of what's going to come out of that meeting rides on you and of course it's going to be a kind of a very, you know, intense winter of finding solutions ranging from our, you know, we lost trust in the grading system, we lost trust in the financials of this university. This is me kind of talking about general consensus here, and a general trust in the lines of communication and our activism. So I hope this can be restored Aya, do you have something to say, because I see you have your hand up?
No, it was left there by mistake.
I figured. Guys, thank you for discussing this. My final kind of closing comments on this would be, I wanted to leave this last because I didn't want to give it too much time, because I think other things deserve more time than, what I said, what the president said. I think, okay, so when it comes to kind of the address that I had, once we wrapped up the USFC meeting, tensions were very high. I directly went into a meeting with the president and just wanted to test out basically what is it that is keeping administration from having the conversations. What is it that led to administration cutting off the meeting towards the end? As I said, it was cut short with us kind of looking at numbers, kind of lost between the numbers, lost as to what we have to do, questioning if they're actually thinking of students, if they're thinking of professors, if they're thinking of the administrative figures behind the scenes. That was kind of where the tensions were lying, and my question, whatever the way it was phrased, was not in any way to kind of discredit the work that you've been doing, because I've been reporting on the work that USFC has done in the past 2-3 years. I was news editor before. You guys are you're setting precedents. You're setting the bar high for the upcoming USFC generations. You're taking what was given to you and you're upping that. I want nothing more than to see the USFC kind of represent us well. I'm a student before I am a member of Outlook at the end of the day. And if in any way I kind of discredited the work you've done, for that I apologize. But do understand that my intentions going into that meeting was not to undermine the work you've been doing. It's to understand what response I'm going to get, to understand, is administration truly looking to discredit the work you're doing? Are they going to be taking the matters into their own hands? Jude was saying, we're afraid that we're just a tool here and we're just used as a means to kind of show, there's conversation. I just wanted to make sure that there is grounds for upcoming meetings, and this upcoming meeting, I'm sure, will be taking place, I hope, in the next 1-2 weeks. And I'm really looking forward to speaking with a few of you after that to know how it went. And يعطيكم العافية on all that. And
Nadine, may I just say something? First of all, thank you so much for your words, Anjad. Thank you for your efforts. I genuinely and truly appreciate it. I know this is all part of your work. This is what you do, and I'm sure that you meant to, not to offend any one of us, as I'm sure that all USFCs here مفروض توضح this idea now. But I just wanted to add something about the constructive dialogue between the USFC and the administration. This is something we've been asking for a long time. And since you mentioned that the meeting was cut short, and then we saw in the Outlook, in the article that you published, when can be مثل discreditation that USFC, I just want a platform to respond to that, if I may.
Of course, go ahead.
So first of all, the dialogue entails including students in the decision-making process to increase the tuition fees. And I think that was evident during the meeting that we were not included in the decision, we were informed. So undermining the role of the student representatives and questioning their sincerity and independence encouraged because they were vocal about students' rights is not a sincere dialogue. It was more of, مثل ما Ali mentioned, more of a power play, power dynamic between us and the administration. And comparing the student representatives to irrelevant examples of HIV patients, convicted criminals, and drug addicts is also not constructive dialogue. It actually resembles everything we've been seeing in the government officials since October 17 and since the revolution began. They're attacking the credibility and the ethics of us because we are concerned about our basic rights as students. Before, as نحن كمان students, we are student representatives. أنا student هدفع 3900, so my rights, my basic rights are still on the line. And the basic issue and the basic issue that, like the main issue on at hand, is being avoided. So I think this was one of the main reasons the meeting was cut in an abrupt manner, and we were not given the platform for us to ask our questions before. And we weren't going to come in the meeting and fight with the president if we don't have any, مثل ما Karim mentioned, if we didn't analyze the data, on what grounds أنا بدي روح أقول له what you're saying is wrong, ما إلي الحق. So I just wanted to clarify this. أكيد نحن we want a very positive communication channel مع administration. We're asking them for this. Personally, I'm asking them if they ever watch this. I really want a positive communication with them. This is not something that I don't want, but I also want to be given my full right and to be involved in decisions that's going to affect me and all the students. Thank you, Karim, for everything. Thank you, Muhammad. It was a really productive meeting, and I really felt that we were given a platform to truly talk to the student body وتوضح للstudent body كل حدا كيف their approach وشو بدهم يشتغلوا وشو بدهم يعملوا. I genuinely appreciate it.
Of course. Yes, same goes here. I'd love to say the same things. Thank you for your time and for this opportunity. It felt very fruitful for me.
Obviously, we're always looking to do that. There's something, I mean, I've always been told by a select family member, it's not really about sometimes the content, it's the timing that's important. And wherever we were faulty as a paper is about the timing of how abrupt it all was, the timing of the USFC meeting. Then again, after that, Muhammad, wrote his commentary on the president's interview, and that came out before, we had the chance to process the news of tuition, which came at the height of our finals, us in very stressful situations, and then us trying to figure out my response to that. But obviously timing is important, and from here on out, I think we should be more, I will be more mindful of that. I can give you my word, and this will be up very soon. I'm gonna kind of look.
I just want to comment on something that you shouldn't have apologized, because the interview you quoted the words of Dr. Khouri. So you're a journalist and you were doing your job.
I'm not.
And you attending the USFC meeting, it's something normal because you're a journal بالنهاية. We were asking for transparency. Well, I want you to know that the USFC wasn't against you attending. لأنه بالعكس نحن we want transparency. That's why you weren't supposed to apologize. You don't owe us an apology, to be honest. You're doing what you're supposed to do.
The USFCs were not against your presence at all. We were just shocked because we were not informed after the agenda was set. But طبعا this has nothing to do with you. أنت ما دخلك بهذا الموضوع at all.
No, I completely, I understand where you guys are coming from, and me kind of declining to join any future meetings was just out of respect for you guys. And that said, I'm not, look, whatever Dr. Khouri said, I think I'm a firm believer that he's responsible for things that he says. These aren't my opinions. If he wants to address it, if he thinks, he has done so through his address, I'm not going to kind of comment on that. Because I have my own views as a student. Here I stand with you guys. I'm a student. He did address me as well. But what I'm trying to say is I'm apologizing if you guys felt that you weren't heard out enough. And this is where I would say, I always do better. And I look forward to future lines of communication. And really thank you for taking the time. We took almost 3 hours, which is...
We appreciate it so much, really.
Before we wrap up this meeting, there's something I'd like to address regarding the Outlook discussion group. Now, understandably, after we released the transcribed interview with Dr. Khouri, the group has become the center of a lot of heated discussion. And I fully sympathize with the students on the group who are voicing their concerns. It is their right to do so. And as a student, I agree with a lot of what's being said. However, I must point out that a lot of the conversations on the group are being fueled by individuals who seek to further their own personal vendettas and to score political points as well. I'm not here to point fingers. These people know themselves. And I'd just like to say that I'd just like to ask these individuals to reconsider their approach, given what is at stake over here. So that said, the group will remain open to be a platform for students to voice their concerns regarding how Outlook is approaching current affairs, and for students to come together and to be able to unite as we're facing very overwhelming circumstances. So that's all I have to say on my end. I'd just like to thank all of you guys for taking the time to attend this meeting. I am very assured with the USFC at the moment, and I believe that through future lines of communication with the USFC, we can sort of figure out a way how to approach and tackle the issues the student body is facing at present, which is critical because at the end of the day, as journalists and as student representatives, It is our responsibility to mitigate the circumstances that students are facing. And I hope that we can continue to do so. Thank you all very much, and I wish you all a good evening.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Been my pleasure. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye, Merry Christmas.
You as well. Thank you.
Rest easy. Bye.